For last night.
That's good. That's very good. At least you're not angry, but tired. I mean, like, are you prepared again tonight to stay up for Lakers Warriors again?
Well, here's the thing. I'll be in the 501 club for Janet Jackson.
Oh boy.
So with with Katie and two of the kids. And I'm excited about Janet Jackson. I mean, I know every word and every song, man.
Yeah.
So she's phenomenal in concert.
Oh, you've seen her?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I've never seen her. I'm excited about it. So do I gyrate embarrassingly?
Well, I think it's a must.
In front of my children?
Yeah.
Or do I anger my wife and hang out in the club and watch the TV after begging them to put the Warriors game on?
You know, I've got enough faith in you that I feel like you can accomplish both.
I mean, I could do the phone thing and try to, like, discreetly, like, have it down here while I'm like, nasty boys don't mean a thing.
I think there's a good mingling area. There's a good mingling area near the TV, so you could have maybe a cocktail in one hand, watching the game, by simultaneously dancing, embarrassing your kids, and singing Janet Jackson.
Yeah, I think you can pull off both for sure.
Well, we're gonna try. It's threading a needle tonight, so we'll see. Tomorrow will be good for me, by the way.
Oh yeah, be real good. It's quite the week/weekend here in Nashville. I was reading some posts on social media yesterday from various news outlets here locally. Hotel prices quite out of control this weekend with Janet Jackson tonight, and then 3 consecutive Taylor Swift concerts at Nissan Stadium this weekend too. It's going to be a doozy downtown.
Yeah, gouge those Swifties.
That's right. So we'll see what happens on that front. But apparently hotel prices out of control in Nashville this weekend.
Also, ticket prices. On the secondary market, you cannot find a Taylor Swift ticket for under $900.
Jeez. Gracious.
That is so insane. Taylor, help a girl out.
Ugh, man.
Yeah, seriously. I've been trying to, because they didn't get me a ticket for Friday. I think I've already said this. Obstructed view. I did find $750, but it was obstructed view.
Oh, okay. Obstructed
A single obstructed view for $750. Awesome.
Joe.
Yeah, sounds great.
Do not buy that.
Well, I just have to get in contact with my close personal friend Taylor Swift, and we'll see if we can get this figured out.
Yeah, why we should have just gone to you.
Yeah, Robby, why aren't we backstage? This is your fault.
Look, I'm staying as far away from this thing as I possibly can over the weekend.
You have been a backup singer for her before. Why can't you again?
Well, that's a good question. Maybe I didn't make the cut this time. We'll see if we can get back to it. That's a question for Taylor, not for me.
Fair.
Just throwing it out there. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We got a whole lot to get into today on the program. Gentry Estes from the Tennessean will be our guest at 7 o'clock. Looking forward to that. And, of course, our weekly visit with Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports, talking the NFL draft and all things NFL at 8 o'clock. So looking forward to that as well. Ryan Tannehill speaking to the media yesterday, Joe Rexrode, and what has become at this point an annual tradition of speaking after the draft when the Titans have selected a quarterback. Last year it was Malik Willis. This year it was Will Levis. And some very interesting comments yesterday by Ryan Tannehill. And we got a lot to get into on that front. But one of the things that came up was Ryan Tannehill and his conversation with Rand Carthon. And Carthon, spoke in the pre-draft press conference about speaking with Ryan Tannehill a few weeks ago. I think it may have been back in February when he spoke with Ryan Tannehill and talked about Tannehill knowing where he stands with the organization. And Ryan Tannehill was asked about that yesterday at the press conference. Here's what Tannehill had to say.
Rand said he talked to you in February and said you knew exactly where you stood with the organization. Well, where is that? How do you stand with the organization?
My job's to get ready to go win football games, and that's what I'm going to do each and every day.
So that was a very quick answer from Ryan Tannehill yesterday about where he stands with the organization and that his job is to go win football games. Obviously, Joe, we now know post-draft that they have drafted Will Levis, and they have drafted Will Levis to be the quarterback of the future. And that was one of many kind of interesting tidbits from the Ryan Tannehill press conference yesterday. What'd you make of that? And what'd you make of the Tannehill press conference yesterday over at a very fancy new media room where the Tennessee Titans practice?
Yeah, very, very nice studio. I mean, they have press conferences in all kinds of different places now. But it is wild to think that 2 straight years now he's had to basically answer questions. First of all, have to watch a draft in which a quarterback is taken high, and then have to answer the questions about it. It was a lot different than last year's presser in a couple ways. One thing is, if you guys remember last year, he didn't show up to this, so it was a lot later.
Yeah.
I guess it would have been, was it during actual mini camp, I guess?
I believe so.
Yeah. So there was that, and there was like I don't know, what did he have?
The mentor comment?
Well, there was that, but yes, but also he had like the Celsius ad or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Right? He's fresh off the boat. Yeah.
Yeah, there's that, and yes, and then the mentor. I actually was kind of surprised. Like I would have, like a little bit disappointed, I guess, in Kaharski for not saying, "And what about mentoring this year, Ryan?" But he didn't ask that question. But it was I think it was a little bit. I mean, last year it's like, okay, you have 2 years left in your deal. I mean, I know there's voidable years, but 2 years left. This is the last year of his deal. Last year it was like 2 years left, and there's a competition potentially, but it's not until next year, and there's a lot of unknown. I mean, yesterday we're talking to a guy who is entering his last year with the Tennessee Titans. I mean, unless, and I threw it out this week, what if, Corey Curtis and I were talking after the presser, what if he's just incredible?
Yeah.
And but the thing is, it's going to be hard for him to be incredible because the offense itself as a whole is going to make that very tough on him. But we were basically talking to a guy who is entering the last year with the Titans, barring something unforeseen. And I mean, he's playing this year to extend his career as a starting quarterback in the NFL. He's auditioning this year for other teams. Now, I'm not saying that that's like foremost on his mind. He's going to do, I expect him to do what he's done. Ryan Tannehill is a pro. He's a leader. He's a very good player. But that's the reality for him, is that he's trying to make himself viable to start for someone else next year. And, he took the high road yesterday, but there were some moments that were clearly, like clear signs of, there was a subtext there of frustration. Yeah. And good for him. He should be frustrated. I mean, I think he handled it right. It's like, you're not going to come right out and complain, but some of his comments, about the receivers, about drafting another quarterback, he was very quick talking about Will Levis. To tell you, I mean, this guy, he's taken some hits from the Titans.
Well, no question. And, I agree. I mean, if you're him reading the room right now, the Malik Willis thing was one thing last year, and you went through it, and that was a third-round pick, and we went through mentor gate and all that stuff, and I'm glad that didn't come up again yesterday. Although, I guess it would have kind of been funny at the end of the press conference. So, mentoring. What about Will Levis? You can take that road this year. But to your point, like Ryan Tannehill, if he plays well this year, that's really what he needs to be worried about in terms of, if you play well, you're going to have a job somewhere. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be here, but you'll have a job somewhere next year as a starting quarterback. Like, if he plays really well, whether it's, a team in transition looking for a bridge quarterback or whatever the situation would be, that would probably be the most likely thing, is he'll be a starting quarterback next year if he comes out and plays really well next year. The likelihood is it's just not going to be here. I mean, they've drafted Will Levis for a reason in the second round, and they moved up to do so at number 33 overall. Will Levis is going to be a starting quarterback in 2024 for the Titans, barring something unforeseen happening. So, if you're him, really the only thing you can control is how you play. And to your point, Joe, there's a limit, I think, to how much he can control how he plays, because right now he doesn't have anybody to throw the ball to other than Treylon Burks out there, and even Treylon Burks isn't proven at this point.
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, in my mind, I thought last year was a big bounce back year for Ryan Tannehill before he got hurt.
Agreed.
But it's not like the numbers necessarily say that, So it's just like, I'm looking back right now at the draft last year. I know we've talked about this before, but you think about, if you're Ryan Tannehill sitting here right now, first of all, had they not moved up the other night, I'm going to go with Cedric Tillman. That's my belief. Okay.
Okay.
That Cedric Tillman is the choice where they were going to pick. Well, actually, no. So no, I'm sorry. So Cedric Tillman he's the choice where they were going to pick in the
at 72 in the third round.
Yeah, it's 72. So So Cedric Tillman is who they're going to pick at 72. So who do they pick at 41? So let's say that at 41, they can. Let's say at 41 they also decide, they're not moving up. They're not getting a quarterback. They're gonna get some more, help on the offense. I mean, I suppose they could do defense. Now they could have gone Jaden Reed, taking it from your Packers.
They could have
early. Rashee Rice. I mean, some of those guys. You've also got tight ends higher regarded, than Luke Musgrave is a guy that went right after 41, went at 42. Whatever. I mean, there's a lot of those guys. Point being, and then you could go back to last. Marvin Mims is a guy. Brenton Strange, the Penn State tight end. And then who knows? I mean, the Wiley pick is something different. Maybe the Wiley pick you actually address defense or another offensive line, whatever it is. But bottom line is there's two players right there where you help yourself. You could potentially help Tannehill in the offense. And then last year, you got guys like Jalen Tolbert, Rashad White. If you want to talk about addressing running back,
Yeah.
Now I know they took Haskins. Well, whatever. I mean, they took Haskins. Right now, that doesn't look like a very good pick. And I think what they just did in this draft tells you they don't think it was a very good pick. You could have a totally different situation around Ryan Tannehill right now where he feels supported, where what Vrabel said after the Cincinnati game, got to be great around him, was actually addressed with action. And instead, and I know it's two different GMs, but Vrabel's been there the whole time. Instead, let's just keep taking quarterbacks and until we can get this guy out of here is the subtext of their message.
Well, and like you said, some interesting comments on that front from Ryan Tannehill yesterday and some subtext there as well. We'll continue the conversation on that coming up next. Take more of your thoughts as well. 615-737-1025. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063 The Game.
Nashville Sounds Baseball lives on 94.9 The Fan. Catch every pitch.
Swing and a miss, strike three.
Every hit.
That's a base hit.
Every run.
Looking up, it's gone.
On your home for Sounds Baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Attention, buckaroos. It's time for the Franklin Rodeo. So saddle up and hold on to your lasso. It's 3 days of bull riding, calf roping, western wear, funny clowns, and some of the most talented horses you've ever seen. Join the Stampede from May 18th to May 20th. The Franklin Rodeo is held at the Williamson County Ag Expo Park and is brought to you by Ram Rodeo, Franklin Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Williamson Health, Event 1FX, and Wesley Mortgage. Tickets on sale now at franklinrodeo.com. It's a buckin' good time.
At the law office of Amanda J. Gentry, we are committed to defending your rights. We have a team committed to helping you navigate the court system, whether you've been accused of a crime or you're going through a messy divorce in custody. Call our team to help you navigate this system. We are here to protect your rights, to demand your rights, to enforce your rights. 615-604-6263. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
Hey, Robbie Stanley here, and the NBA playoffs are here, and you can turn crossovers into cash with FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com/Rob right now and place a $5 bet, and you'll get an instant $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. My beloved Miami Heat taking down the Bucks in round one. I think they take down New York in round two as well, but you take it any way you want to take it. Great series coming up between the Suns and the Nuggets as well. Just make sure you do it on FanDuel. They've got great promotions every single day, and when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet all the playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. Just go to FanDuel.com/Rob and sign up to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet your first $5. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. You must be 21 or older, present in Tennessee. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions do apply. You can see full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Men, this is Evan Bass with the Tennessee Men's Clinic. and I've been helping men with sexual health issues for many years. I've seen the pain and anxiety that men walk into the clinic with when erectile dysfunction is affecting them. And I also know the heartache and difficulty it can bring to their partner. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we've been successfully treating men for ED for many years now. We've seen the amazing impacts that those treatments have on a man's confidence and positivity. And we've seen the wonderful things those treatments also do for a man's relationship. That's why I'm pleased to announce that we are now offering the same great services we offer at our Nashville clinic at our new location in Franklin, which will make it much more convenient for those men living south of Nashville to get treated. So call us today and book your appointment at our Midtown location or at our new clinic in Cool Springs. Your first visit is only $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments, extra results vary.
The greatest American rock and roll band in history, Aerosmith, present Peace Out, the Farewell Tour. Aerosmith, with special guest the Black Crowes. Bridgestone Arena, January 10th, 2024. Get tickets this Friday at 10 a.m. at livenation.com. Aerosmith with the Black Crowes, the Farewell Tour. Peace out.
Want to see our smiling faces? You can watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live. We are good to go. Presented by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Good morning. You're locked into Robby and Rexrode. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty.
I have the radio on. I'm listening to
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Brian, when you did talk to Brad, did that settle you in terms of the direction and what to expect here in the next few months?
I don't know. It's like those conversations you can be, thought of in a lot of different ways. But at the end of the day, I have an opportunity in front of me to go out and play football, and that's what I'm here to do.
That was Ryan Tannehill yesterday at the press conference over at St. Thomas Sports Park. Very interesting question from Gentry Estes, who we'll have on the show coming up at 7 o'clock there to Tannehill. And a couple of long pauses there from Ryan Tannehill, Joe Rexrode. It sounds like he was thinking very hard about what he wanted to say there.
Yeah, what he wanted to say, what he wanted to not say.
Yep.
I mean, there was no it was an amazing conversation, but he basically glossed over that part of it entirely, and he kind of goes back to the default of, hey, here to win football games. Gentry, who will have the top of the hour. He has a good column on this too at the Tennessean, and I agree with the premise, which is, the headline says Ryan Tannehill deserves better from the Tennessee Titans than this sloppy offseason. I think that's a good way to put it. It has been. You can't totally control, rumors. And if you're going to call teams about someone, which I don't blame the Titans for doing at all, to be clear, if you're going to, then it's going to get out, that you've been shopping. And again, Tannehill can't be surprised by that. But if you just look at the multi-year situation for him, and look, the Cincinnati game, I have to put it mostly on him. Okay.
Yeah.
I will say that if things are drastically better in some ways this year, then without the receiver additions that we thought there might be, and it kind of looks like Tim Kelly and Tannehill have a good thing going. Now you will look at that 2-year window and also say, Downing deserves a chunk of that blame for sure. But ultimately, that game, and he threw some picks. They threw the 4 picks against the Texans that year. They still got the 1 seed. For the most part, all of these things that have diminished the offense have nothing to do with him. He's hung in there and watched again at last year. AJ Brown, bye. Malik Willis, oh, okay. And now this year, here comes Will Levis. Receiver, 7th round. Again, I thought he handled it well yesterday, but how could he not be frustrated?
Well, yeah, it's the offense has deteriorated around him. Now, the one thing that if you're Tannehill, and he talked about this a little bit yesterday, that you're happy with is they've revamped the offensive line. Now, I have no idea how effective it's going to be, but they've certainly addressed the offensive line with Dillard and Brunskill coming in, of course, taking Skoronski and Duncan in the draft too. So you've addressed the offensive line. There's no question about that. So I guess that's, if you're Tannehill, like that's the one part that you feel good about is maybe there's a chance that your offensive line is significantly better than it was a year ago, and that helps you out in terms of your production as well. And then there's the wide receiver room, and Ryan Tannehill was asked about the wide receivers yesterday as well at the press conference. Here's what Tannehill had to say on that front.
Yeah, guys are out there working hard. Traylon has been doing a great job. Nick's doing a great job. Kyle is out running again, so that's great to see. Mason's out there working hard. Racy's moving well. We have a bunch of guys that have been around and have been doing a good job for us in preparation. Learning a new system, being a new offense, new concepts, all that type of stuff. But guys are digging in. They're working hard, and that's all you can ask for.
So Tannehill discussing the wide receiver room yesterday. And, talked about in the draft, they didn't draft anybody to the 7th round. I think he said at one point that, thinking it might have come a little earlier, but it is what it is at this point. And you could just see, like, the frustration on his face. And again, like, Tannehill said the right things yesterday. I mean, he didn't air out, his dirty laundry in the media. But, Joe, I walked away from viewing that press conference yesterday, and you could just feel that Ryan Tannehill's reading the room. He knows what the score is here with Will Levis being drafted, and he knows that while the Titans are preparing for their quarterback of the future in the present, the wide receivers position specifically has not really been addressed this offseason, and we've talked about that a lot, and there's a lot of Titans fans at the moment screaming about how casual the Titans are with their approach to wide receiver, and you could tell that's a little bit frustrating for Ryan Tannehill too.
Right. Yeah. He had the comment about, a little later than I would have thought. He said, quote, "They don't ask me my thoughts on draft picks. Mike and Rand make the decisions. Obviously, I knew it was an area that could be addressed. They did just a little bit probably later than I thought it was going to be." Another time, again, he just talked about those guys there, and he's working with them. And look, I mean, those are the guys he named. They're going to be key. And some of those guys beyond Traylon Burks can make plays, and I think can help this team cobble together a passing game. But he also at one point said the room, basically, it is what it is, without, ripping anyone. I mean, look, I don't think there's I haven't seen a post-draft positional group ranking in the NFL, but if anybody can point me to another team that should be number 32 at receiver, I'm all ears.
Yeah, I mean, the Titans have got to be right there. I mean, I'm sure that there are other teams that we could go through that are close. Like, I'm sure, like the Texans don't have a great wide receiver room, and they
got Robert Woods now.
The Packers have like 4 guys in the wide receiver room, so it's not even really a complete room at this point. So there's other teams you could point to, but yeah, I mean, but Titans got to be
you talk about. Yeah, I mean, the Packers have now. They have, to me, three promising young guys.
Correct.
Right. I mean, I personally like Reed. We'll see. But those other 2 guys late last year kind of came on, and that's the thing is, a lot of times it doesn't happen immediately for a rookie. Yeah, I think they'd be last. One other thing that is interesting. Someone on the text line says, I hadn't thought about this. Someone said he wasn't told last year about drafting Willis. They told him that they drafted Levis. So in other words, I mean, obviously he knows they drafted him when they drafted him, but I assume you mean they called him in advance of the Levis pick.
Well,
is that right?
That's accurate. I mean,
I don't know that
that they would have had time to call him before the Levis pick. They traded up to go get him.
Yeah, Vrabel said he called Ryan, so I took that as
after.
Called him right after and kind of explained it to him. Honestly, I don't remember if they called him or not after they took Willis. I mean, I'm sure there had to be some kind of conversation, right? Like last year, it was just like, "Hey, Mike, so with that 3rd round pick, who did you draft? I forgot, Ryan. I didn't
couldn't reach him last year. He's on the boat."
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, just So I don't know that there's any difference there. But one thing yesterday that was definitely interesting Chigakonkwo initially talking about this, but definitely Ryan too. Both of those two guys talking about how different the offense is going to be.
Yeah.
And Chig talking about tempo. Ryan, I asked Ryan then about tempo to follow up, and he said, just putting pressure on defense. That's one way, but they're trying to, figure out other ways. It's not like they got into the nitty gritty, but boy, they definitely sounded like Tim Kelly's got a whole new playbook and approach to what they have with Todd Downing. And frankly, good for him and them, because they need to freshen some things up.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds from what they're talking like it's a new system with new terminology and everything else that they're in the process of learning right now. So I found that to be really interesting as well. William from Madison on the text line says, this being Star Wars Day, the Titans want Tannehill to be Obi-Wan Kenobi, but he still wants to be Luke Skywalker. This is from William from Madison on the text line. Happy May the 4th. May the 4th be with you.
Well done. Well done, William. That's pretty good. Or they want him to be Obi-Wan, but they want him to retire into being Ben Kenobi, but he still wants to be Obi-Wan Kenobi. Right. You could do that too.
That's right. That may be better. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. There were other very interesting comments made yesterday by members of the Tennessee Titans that has me thinking back to a coach that was on the roster last year and wondering, good gracious, how bad was it? We'll get into that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
The NFL offseason is in full swing, but you'll never miss any of the big news. Thanks to Yahoo's Charles Robinson.
They know that there's a chance that they're going to have to deal this guy.
He's one of the best insiders there is.
All of a sudden, he becomes a functional player who we thought was just trash.
Join Charles Robinson every Thursday morning at 8 on Robby and Rexrode, presented by the NFL Alumni Association on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What's up, everybody? Michelle Knesvik here for Superbook Sports. Baseball's back, and the push for the postseason is on for hockey and hoops. I hope you listened to my Superbook yesterday, because I gave you some winners, and I'm going to give you some more winners today. One of my favorite matchups. I'm just loving this series. I know it's going to go into 7 games. Lakers, Warriors. Lakers took the first one. Warriors 6-point favorite in tonight's game. I'm going to take the Warriors to cover the 6. I think they win handling tonight. I also am taking the Warriors to win the series as a whole. Celtics and 76ers coming up tomorrow. The Celtics had a big win over the 76ers. I think the 76ers bounce back and get a win as well. Make it all count this spring with Superbook Sports. Superbook Sports is the best wagering app around, with a direct line to experienced bookmakers behind the counter in Las Vegas. Plus, all you got to do, grab your phone now, smart device, sign up, deposit a little money, and wager. If you do that all in the same day, you will get a $250 bonus. So don't let this spring pass you by without winning some money with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Family Leisure invites you to vacation at home with a new spa, pool, patio furniture, or wood play gym this summer.
I really want a spa.
40 spas on display from Artesian, Best Spas, and American Select.
Prices starting as low as $29.99.
Family Leisure has over 100 sets of patio furniture with free delivery.
That sounds good to me, too.
We should really look at the wood play gyms for the kids. Family Leisure has the Diamond Point swing set on sale at only $24.99 installed. Family Leisure's vacation at home sale in Franklin and Antioch.
The team at Mercedes-Benz of Music City have done it again. Here's Edwin Vickery to explain.
4-time recipient of Best of the Best. Less than 10% of the dealers in the country receive this award. How did you do it? We say culture eats strategy for lunch, because we can strategize all we want, but unless you have the right culture and chemistry in the dealership, it will not work.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
It's almost time to celebrate all the moms out there, and Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel would like to invite you to their special Mother's Day brunch. Celebrate this special day with Mom and enjoy Chef John Welch's amazing traditional farm-to-fork Southern dishes with recipes handed down from generations. Get your reservations in today, as availability will fill up quickly. Kitchen Notes in the heart of Sobro inside the Omni Nashville Hotel features their Mother's Day brunch from 10 a.m. to 3, and you can make your reservation on opentable.com.
The Beach Boys, live in concert, May 25th, 26th, and 27th at Schermerhorn Symphony Center, performing with the Nashville Symphony. The Beach Boys return to the stage. Tickets on sale now at NashvilleSymphony.org. Don't miss the Beach Boys live with the Nashville Symphony.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormonal deficiencies and imbalances. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve your quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit our website at coolspringsmd.com.
Tonight on 102.5 and 106.3, The Game.
The Heat and Hemi Butler are looking to go up 2-0 in the series as they took on the Knicks in Game 2. We'll have all that coverage for you after Stillman & Company at 6.
Your home for the NBA playoffs is 102.5 and 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, Trey Wingo here. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Did you think or expect a wide receiver might get drafted by this team before number 228?
They don't ask me, my thoughts on draft picks. Mike and Rand make those decisions. Obviously, I knew it was an area that could be addressed, but they did just a little bit probably later than I thought it was going to. But we added some other key positions. Some talent that will help us across the board.
That was Ryan Tannehill yesterday over at the Titans practice facility. Welcome back in. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Call TJ's team today to see why they're referred to so often. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by Superbook. We're live from our 102.5 The Game studio, brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. And I have a Moment's Peace $100 gift card to give away. Mother's Day is coming up, so keep that in mind. Got a Moment's Peace $100 gift card to give away, and your chance to be qualified to win a $1,000 Genesis Diamonds gift card as well, and a pair of tickets to see the Dave Matthews Band at Bridgestone Arena coming up on May 26th. Hit up our text line. Don't call. Hit up the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. If you can answer this trivia question. We've talked about Ryan Tannehill all morning. Ryan Tannehill was the third quarterback selected in the 2012 NFL draft class. Who were the first two quarterbacks selected in that draft class? If you know the answer, hit up our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. The first person to correctly guess the answer will win a $100 Moment's Peace gift card and will be qualified to win a $1,000 Genesis Diamonds gift card and qualified to win a pair of tickets to see the Dave Matthews Band at Bridgestone Arena coming up on May 26th. Joe Rexrode, as I look at the kind of the format of the way that Tannehill answered that question there, you can kind of, it's even more clear as you're watching him. Like, you can just kind of see him, fighting back words and trying to discover the right thing to say yesterday. It was quite the entertaining press conference with Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, look, certainly I think it was actually almost masterful because it's
it really
like,
was.
It's like if you're there, if you're in the room, that's one of those where like the video really helps, the either being there or seeing on video, it very much helps to kind of understand, what he's thinking, what he's feeling. But, he said everything you're supposed to say. And ultimately, again, he'll be fine. I mean, I don't want to pour out too much sympathy for someone, who's got a base salary of $27 million this year.
Yeah, right.
Okay. But I feel bad for him to some extent because, most of the issues for this team, and certainly, 7 straight losses and where they are not his doing. But look, it's also it's what the league is. I mean, you're trying to find the next quarterback. You're trying to find the quarterback you can have on a rookie deal. And yeah, you are trying to be better than Ryan Tannehill. I've said it before. I'll keep saying it. I'll be interested to see when the Tennessee Titans have quarterbacking that can match or exceed Ryan Tannehill at his best. That is going to be very difficult.
Yep, it is. And the charge is going to be for Will Levis at some point to maybe be that guy. We'll see if he's able to answer the bell on that front. Joe, some other interesting comments made yesterday. You brought up Chig Okonkwo talking about kind of the speed element of the offense. Aaron Brewer speaking yesterday as well, and he had a couple of different topics that were interesting, one of which was Keith Carter, the former Titans offensive line coach that is now, I believe, with the New York Jets. And this is not the first time that we've talked about Keith Carter. Taylor Lewan had some interesting comments on Bussin' with the Boys a few months ago about kind of his relationship with Keith Carter and the coaching style that he brought to the table. And Aaron Brewer discussed Keith Carter yesterday as well and had some very frank comments about the former Titans offensive line coach. Here's what Aaron Brewer had to say yesterday.
He just was, I'll just say Keith, like, he just was a real aggressive, like, zero tolerance. It was, like, his way or the highway. So that's what it was with him. And how's he going to listen to y'all can share your ideas and go back and forth with each other.
So that was Aaron Brewer yesterday talking about Keith Carter. He was real aggressive, and it was his way or the highway, and now the Titans do not have him around. Joe, between listening to his comments on Keith Carter and the ones that Taylor Lewan had on Bussin' with the Boys a few months ago, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Keith Carter was not overly popular in the Titans offensive line room.
Yeah, I guess not. I do think back to his first year. I think it was training camp. So it was Vrabel's first year too. And, just over there, and there's some other media over there too, I think, but doing some drills. And like Lewan was being so openly disrespectful to him. It was actually incredible. It was like, oh my God, he hates him and he hates him. Like it was, Lewan is obviously a very strong personality. Lewan later talked about, and I want to say it was probably the next year, because remember, Keith Carter was also very much, he was one of Jared's favorite, like, this guy must be fired right now for a while. And I think it was the next year, Lewan came back from the PED suspension. Nate Davis started to figure it out, and they started to become really good. At some point, Lewan talked about how, like, he and Keith Carter, at first, it was very rocky. Yeah, we all saw that. And they kind of, they got into a groove, but like you said, then he said some things. There's been other, I want to say, the lineman who retired, who the heck? Oh my God, help me out! Come on,
I can see his face.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
He had to fill in. He had to fill in at left tackle. There was a little bit of of bashing. I think maybe Buck Freitas wrote something that
Ty Sombrilo.
Thank you, Sombrilo. Yeah. So yeah, but this is also like a pet peeve of mine, which is like, like whatever coach is gone. Like if that coach was super, like, tough coach, it's like, this new coach is just listens to us and talks. And it was the other way around. It's like, this new coach is tough and he just pushes us to succeed,
Yeah.
So it's a pet peeve. It's like, you always make sure you rip whoever left. It's like everything, that this team's roster issues, for the most part, people are just going to put it all on John Robinson. He was the GM. He gets most of the blame. But there are a lot of people who weigh in on different decisions they've made that have gone wrong. So, yeah, Aaron Brewer, appreciate his frankness. It sounds like there were some issues with Keith Carter. It's interesting to me that, like, Vrabel during his tenure has been passionately in defense of Keith Carter, right?
Yeah.
And then last year was, it seemed to me like from the outside looking in, like last year at some point, Vrabel seems to have realized, I know that they were terrible, but they were terrible. They were terrible because they had Dennis Daly at left tackle, right? And they had Dennis Daly at left tackle. It's not, Keith Carter did not choose the offensive line. Keith Carter did not shoot. Now, did Keith Carter weigh in on getting Wilson? Did Keith Carter weigh in on getting Radens? I'm sure. How do you not ask your offensive line coach? But for the most part, I feel like it was more personnel than coaching. But it seems like Vrabel, and even he kind of said some comments at the end of season wrap-up that you could take as criticism of Keith Carter.
Well, some other news on the Brewer front yesterday. It looks like he is the center for the Titans heading into this year, which I don't think is a huge surprise. We've talked about that. Obviously, Ben Jones out. Aaron Brewer has experience playing the center position, but he confirmed that yesterday. Also said, Joe, that He's around 290 pounds, although the media might call him 240 yesterday. That's what Aaron Brewer said as well. So I enjoyed the Aaron Brewer comments yesterday.
I always enjoy Aaron Brewer. Oh, man. Yeah. He's like, media probably having about 240, 250. Anyone in particular, Aaron, you'd like to call out?
That was
I
awesome.
can think of someone.
Yeah, I can too. But not a huge surprise that he would be working at the center position, I don't think.
What if Aaron Brewer was snapping to Bryce Jones? It'd be like the Wizard of Oz, you know?
Bryce Young?
Bryce Jones, Joe.
Oh, my gosh. 6 a.m. hour.
That's
and it was a
okay.
great joke. It was a great joke, too. Like, what if Aaron Brewer was snapping to Bryce Young? Like, you know? He'd be, ding dong, the witch is dead, the wicked witch, the witch is dead.
Strong wind comes in, and they're both just flat on their back.
Like elf football.
That's okay. I keep saying Tajay Sharp instead of Tajay Spears.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll take more of your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. By the way, do we have a winner on the trivia question?
Yes, we do. Garrett is our winner. Congratulations.
Garrett is the winner. Andrew Luck and RG3, the two quarterbacks selected before Ryan Tannehill in 2012.
And the right answers were coming in a flood. Good job, all y'all.
Way to go, people. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, it's time for the best and worst things in sports. We'll take your submissions, as always, on the text line. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3, The Game.
The crowd is standing on its feet. It's in the hole! It's in the hole!
Join 102.5 The Game for the second annual Music City Celebrity Golf Tournament, benefiting Souls for Souls, June 7th at Hermitage Golf Course. Put your team together and come play with athletes, musicians, and other local celebs.
Be the ball.
Support a great cause and have loads of fun. Plus, you'll have the chance to win awesome prizes. Sign up to play, sponsor, or donate at theGameNashville.com/golf.
Celebrating mothers everywhere. Electronic Express has what you need to make this the best Mother's Day yet. Spoil mom with brands like Samsung, Sony, LG, Breville, Jura, and more. We've also got huge savings in every department. 4K TVs, computers, housewares, smart home, and more. Plus, save up to 40% on all appliances with up to 3 years free financing. Shop in-store or online. Get more for mom at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Golfers, swing into Edwin Watts Golf Shops. We've been serving golfers since 1968. Let us help you find the hottest gear from bags, balls, shoes, and apparel. All in stock at the best prices. Come in and test drive the latest arrivals from Titleist, TaylorMade, Callaway, Ping, and more. While you're there, get custom fit by one of our golf experts. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee. Shop us in store or online at EdwinWattsGolfShops.com.
Drowning in IRS debt? If you can't afford to pay your IRS debt due to economic hardship, you can now be free of IRS collection efforts by taking advantage of a special IRS tax hardship program. This program allows Americans who owe the IRS to resolve their delinquent tax debt once and for all. In some cases, maybe even reducing what you owe significantly. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Simply dial 800-241-5944. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back or have years of unfiled tax returns, help is standing by. Just call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-241-5944 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-241-5944 to see if you qualify. That's 800-241-5944.
Success is picking up extra shifts for your family. Now you want to be the boss. Success is getting your foot in the door. Now you want to take the next step. Success looks different to everyone, and University of Maryland Global Campus can help you reach your goals. For more than 75 years, we've been transforming lives by helping working adults like you expand their skills, move up, or start a new career. And there's never been a better time to get started on your future. Apply to UMGC by May 31st. We'll waive your application fee. An accredited state university, UMGC offers online and hybrid courses for more than 125 undergraduate and graduate degrees and certificates. Take advantage of faster onboarding, success coaches, lifetime career services, and more. Achieving your dreams is more possible than ever before. Choose the program that's right for your career goals and get moving forward. No application fee through May 31st. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate by Chev.
Sometimes he gets lonely and needs some company.
10 for 17 for 45 yards in his career with 1 interception.
This is one of those years where it's a step back for them.
And that'll create more one-on-one situations and make it easier for him to throw the ball down the field.
It's Stillman and Company.
You've got real talent.
With Jared Stillman, weekdays from 2 to 6 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're locked into Robby and Rexrode.
Every morning, first thing.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. The best and worst of the sports week now on Robby and Rexrode
On ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It is that time of the week, time for the best and worst things in sports. As always, we'll take your submissions on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Joe Rexrode, you are up first. Your best and worst things in the world of sports for this week.
Okay. I'm not doing a combo deal this week. Two different sports.
Wow.
Best thing, Steph Curry. 50 points, Game 7 on the road. The first 50-point game in an NBA playoff Game 7 in history. And frankly, one of the greatest individual performances I've ever seen. I mean, really in any sport. Complete, as every team does. The entire focus is on trying to stop him. And the shots he made, the things he did in the lane to get to there are a lot of players, who play above the rim and who can do things and over the years have done things that are just amazing to watch. So many of them. We never had someone like Steph Curry. And he has changed the game, and some would say maybe not for the better, because I don't necessarily like seeing 7-year-olds like launch from 30 feet. It's not exactly how you want to approach the game sometimes. But look, it's what he is as a player and what he's done as a clutch performer is astounding, and that was an all-timer. So that's my best. My worst is the Will Levis experience from an ESPN perspective. Actually, so I was talking to Matt Hasselbeck yesterday for something I'm writing, and he gave me this stat. I assume this is out there somewhere. I had not heard this. He said Will Levis and his family were on camera 39 times.
Yes.
You've heard this?
Mm-hmm.
39 times during the draft, 27 times, 27 more than anyone else.
Yeah.
We're so obsessed with failure and look, I'm not saying you wouldn't show Will Levis and his family, but it does become this, it's almost like this weird like obsession and fascination with someone failing, and then you combine that with like the stuff that Rich Gannon said about maybe don't show up with your mom and sister, dude. Like what? Just so much of it is bothersome. So and we've seen it before. Aaron Rodgers to me was the first one going way back to 2005. Brady Quinn is another one. We've had others. It's typically a quarterback, who falls. Just didn't like the conversation around it. And then the especially the social media aspect of it. And then of course that Titans fan who burned their nice vintage Eddie George jersey in protest of drafting Will Levis.
I didn't see that.
Wait, you're joking?
No, I'm not joking. I'll find the tweet for you.
I didn't see that one. What did Eddie George do?
It was very feeble. Well, I guess I don't exactly. I don't know.
That could be worth something, sir.
But it was a very feeble attempt to burn a jersey. It was like just like burnt ends on the jersey. It was weird, but yeah, I'll find it for you.
All right. Michelle Knetzvik, your best and worst things in the world of sports.
Okay, I'll start with best because it has to do with the draft as well. So my best thing in sports is that, and I thought that there was a chance that this could happen, that 3 of these rookie quarterbacks are all in the AFC South. I think specifically because we are here in Tennessee, we cover the Titans, we see the Colts, the Texans, the Jags twice a year. I think it's going to be really exciting. Just that new era, and then they're all specifically in this division. This class was kind of polarizing, whether it be, the C.J. Stroud S2 score, Anthony Richardson's rawness, Will Levis, just as a whole. So I'm excited to just kind of watch how all 3 of these guys develop in this division. And I think John McClain put it perfectly. He said, he called them all babies, and he's like, and now we will just see who can raise their baby the best. And I think that was a perfect way to put it. So shout out John McClain. But yeah, that's my best in sports. My worst in sports is the Memphis Grizzlies and the whole Dylan Brooks just situation, and really just all the off the court stuff for really a better part of their season this year. And I understand some of Dylan Brooks's comments were off-putting, and not showing up to media was just really soft, and everything surrounding it too. But I also think, as a sports fan, and if you're a Grizzlies fan too, you also have to put some on Ja Morant as well, especially if you want him to be the face of your franchise. Some of the off the court stuff that was done by him this season was far worse than Dylan Brooks, but unfortunately in sports, a lot of times play can outweigh, and your leash can be a tad longer. I mean, Ja Morant is a far better player than Dylan Brooks, and his leash is a little bit longer, but he skipped out on media too, and things like that. So just a lot going on in that organization right now, a lot of maturing to be done this offseason. So that's my worst in sports this week.
Yep, no question about that. My best thing in sports is, and I'm sure that most people have seen this, the Chris Vaughn video of the Dallas Cowboys. He's a scout for the Cowboys, and they drafted awesome. Deuce Vaughn. And there's the video that the Cowboys put out of basically them making the pick and Chris Vaughn being able to call his son and let him know that the Cowboys are drafting him there. I thought that was really cool, just kind of behind the scenes. And then when Jerry Jones, and by the way, speaking of Star Wars Day, the draft room for the Dallas Cowboys looks like it's straight out of the Death Star. So that was fun to watch on draft night too. But like Jerry Jones announcing that to Chris Vaughn that Deuce Vaughn was going to be their pick. Chris Vaughn didn't know that that's where they were going, and then he started crying in the draft room. It was just really cool. So I enjoyed that. My best in sports. That's the only time you'll ever hear a best in sports Cowboys pick from me. But Chris Vaughn and Deuce Vaughn win it this time around. My worst in sports, the Boston Bruins, up 3-1 in a series. You win 65 games in the regular season. You set a wins record, you set a points record, and then you just choke. You choke it away in the playoffs. Jim Montgomery, I thought, panicked as coach with some of the decisions that he made in that series. You got a guy that's Vezina Trophy going to win it coming up, and he doesn't even play the whole time. And I know that they switched goalies the whole year, but just it was ridiculous the way that they handled the back part of that series, I thought. And you're going to go down in history as a team that set a wins record, set a points record, and now couldn't get out of the first round against, albeit I think a good Florida Panthers team, but nobody's going to remember the season that Boston had with the way that it ended based on getting out in the first round. So the Boston Bruins, my worst thing in sports. And that also, Joe, probably means that their Stanley Cup window is closed. I don't know what the future looks like with Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci, but a big part of why they were so good is they got those guys playing for basically dirt cheap this year. And I just don't know that that's going to be the case as they move forward here.
Yeah, and there are ads that obviously work, but the Rangers and Bruins both really had good things going this year, and just did so much of the deadline. You kind of change the makeup of your team, you know? I don't know. I'm just saying.
Cam on the text line says the best is the NHL playoffs. Personally watching a ton of toxic Titans fans blow up over the draft. People need to calm down. The worst is LeBron trying to say that Anthony Davis's jersey will be in the rafters for the Lakers. I guess they could put half a jersey up there since he only plays 50% of the time. It's from Cam on the text line. His worst thing in sports.
Put it right up. Good one, Cam. Put it right up there next to Austin Reeves' jersey.
Make it a crop top.
Yeah, I like this. I like this one. Best thing, NFL draft is over. Worst thing, draft pick talk continues.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Settle in.
Second that.
Liam says, one man's worst is another man's best. I love seeing the Bruins go down in flames. This is from Liam on the text line. Yeah, like I'm not saying I didn't somewhat enjoy watching it. I'm just saying it's a heck of a collapse by the Boston Bruins. So there you go.
Yeah.
615-737.
They're a great best and worst.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Gentry Estes from the Tennessean. We'll get his thoughts on the Ryan Tannehill press conference yesterday, the draft for the Titans, and a whole lot more. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
All the big stories. If you're not ready to play in this league, you will lose. I don't care who you're playing. All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3. Because I love the sport. We played the way we needed to.
Why would he make that move?
360 and he slams it home. The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
You don't have just an ordinary mom in your life. She's the best. Her work never stops. Her sacrifices are many. Her love is unfailing. This Mother's Day, Genesis Diamonds invites you to join us in celebrating and appreciating the mothers in our lives. Stop in and let one of our trusted advisors help you find a special, meaningful gift. Layering necklaces, stackable rings, eternity bands, pearls, elegant diamond pendants, and of course, stunning diamond earrings. Great Mother's Day ideas for any budget. There's no doubt we love Mom, but sometimes a little extra appreciation goes a long way as a thank you for helping us through challenges, making sacrifices, and always putting the family first. So whether it's her first Mother's Day or her 60th, Mom deserves a gift that's anything but ordinary. And at Genesis, that's our specialty. Exquisite rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, heirloom pieces. Timeless gifts of jewelry that she can enjoy and cherish for decades to come, and always be reminded of how special she is to the family. Genesis Diamonds, online at genesisdiamonds.net.
Want to enter the construction field as a career? Make good money and finish with no debt and earn while you learn. Average starting salary over $18 an hour. First year of college averages $10,000. 4 years of our Construction Trades Academy, a total of $800 to $9,600. Applications are open with first-year scholarships available. CTANash.com. ABC Greater Tennessee Construction Trades Academy. Apply today. CTANash.com.
The greatest American rock and roll band in history, Aerosmith. Present Peace Out, the Farewell Tour. Aerosmith, with special guest the Black Crowes. Bridgestone Arena, January 10th, 2024. Get tickets this Friday at 10 a.m. at livenation.com. Aerosmith with the Black Crowes, the Farewell Tour. Peace out.
Finally, baseball is back. Swing into the season with tickets to the action. Plus, with basketball and hockey heating up, now is a great time to experience a game. Vivid Seats is proud to be the official ticketing partner of ESPN. From on the glass to in the stands, Vivid Seats has great ticket prices to all the games. Every crack of the bat, every dribble down the court. Catch it all with Vivid Seats. Download the app or visit vividseats.com today. Vivid Seats. Experience it live.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone, America's #1 brakes destination. We have the pads, rotors, drums, shoes, and brake fluids to improve your stopping power. Right now, save 15% when you get any 2 Duralast rotors with the set of Duralast brake pads. Missing a tool? Ask about our free Loan-A-Tool program and borrow the tools you need to get the job done.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the MPD Group 2021. Deposit required for Loan-A-Tool.
Your Game Center update.
I'm Michelle Knezovic. The Hurricanes take down the New Jersey Devils 5-1 for Game 1 in Round 2 of this series. And the Vegas Golden Knights beat the Oilers 6-4 in their first matchup of the second round. The Celtics with a huge win over the 76ers, 121-87. That series is tied at 1-1. Jaylen Brown leading the Celtics with 25 points, and Tobias Harris leading the 76ers with 16. Ryan Tannehill spoke to the media for the first time this offseason on how he feels heading into this year.
You know, nothing's given to you in this league, and I've seen that over over my now 12 years here in the NFL. Things can change quickly, so just as a player, you understand. Like I said earlier, you have a process that you go about, and you take advantage of each and every day, and try to grow as a player every day that you get the opportunity to do that. And you have to progress, and you have to make plays when it comes down to it.
Paul Kaharski will join Chase and Michelle at 10:15 this morning. This report is presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. I'm Michelle Knezovic for 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Robby and Rexrode. Chase and Michelle.
Caroline, Willie, D-Bay.
Stone & Company.
Nashville's best sports talk.
Crank it up.
1025 and 1063.
Cranks it, he scores! On both sides of the ball. One big possession. Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. On Nashville's best sports talk. 1025 and 1063 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's showtime.
Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Thursday morning. And we go to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in our friend Gentry Estes from the Tennessean. Gentry, good morning. How we doing?
Hey, good morning. Good to be with you guys.
Good to have you with us. Appreciate you taking time to join us this morning. So, Gentry, we've talked a lot about the Ryan Tannehill press conference this morning and just his demeanor during the press conference. Obviously, they've drafted Malik Willis last year and now Will Levis this year, and we'll get your thoughts on the Will Levis pick here in just a few minutes. But what was your takeaway from Ryan Tannehill and his demeanor at the press conference yesterday and kind of where he's at right now heading into this season with what the Titans have now done in the draft?
Yeah, I wrote that I don't feel like he was evasive on a lot of tough questions. I felt like he was detached. And that's two different things. He just kept saying, I'm doing my job. It's not my job to do these other things running the team. I'm doing what I can do to help us win. And I mean, I think that's true. I think he's been around the team, involved in workouts. You hear other players talk about meetings with coaches. I think Tannehill has very quietly been a lot more involved at this time of year than maybe it was a year ago, where he was coming off that game against Cincinnati. I think this year he has been probably more of a leader to some of the guys coming back. And, you see this and you know that press conference is going to have some uncomfortable questions, just given everything that's happened this offseason. Tannehill handled it about like you would expect and how he has during his time here. But after a while, you kind of start feeling a little sorry for the guy. I'm sitting up there and I wonder, what exactly has Ryan Tannehill done to deserve this, to lose his job, to have speculation that, he shouldn't be the starter? It's like we've all kind of decided that Ryan Tannehill shouldn't be the quarterback anymore, and why?
No, it's a very fair point. And, I think I'll point back to, his playoff performance. That changed how I looked at him, to be honest, because it was just such a disaster in a huge moment and against a team that, they should have beat in a game. They had 9 sacks, but I just said this earlier, Gentry, when will they have quarterback play that will rise to the level of his highest level here? It's a pretty high bar. And just imagine if they, in the last 2 drafts, just tried to help him, like the 3rd round pick last year, but also, not moving up this year. So you not taking a quarterback, you take another player to help him potentially. I guess you could pick a defensive player too. And then you're in position to take one of those receivers in the 3rd round. Things will look a lot different for him right now in his prospects. But I feel like this year, if they have success, he's going to have to be incredible, right? Even if the offensive line is way better.
Yeah, and if you look over the course of his time here, the talent has progressively gotten worse and worse on that side of the ball. And that's, not to mention trading away one of the best receivers in the league at one point. So, given what Tannehill's accomplished here, I've always had a lot of respect for him. I hear you on the playoff game. I think that's what everybody kind of goes back to is, hey, maybe this isn't a guy who can get the Titans over the hump. Maybe so. But I agree, it is a very high bar. And talking with people about Will Levis a little bit here since Friday, probably the most frequent comp that I've heard is Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
I've heard several people say that. Like, I think he can end up being a Tannehill. In other words, I think with Levis, I think the floor is probably higher than people think, but the ceiling is lower. And I think a lot of the people who know his game the best suspect he could be a capable, competent NFL quarterback, but not a superstar. In other words, that's what you think of when you say Ryan Tannehill.
Gentry asked us from the Tennessee. And the dynamic in the front office has changed. But we've seen the Titans in the last 2 years trade away A.J. Brown. They've drafted Treylon Burks. And they've had several holes in their wide receiver room. And now you've gone through an offseason where you don't make really any add of significance in free agency, and you spend a 7th-round pick on wide receiver. I realize it's May the 4th, and the season doesn't start until September. But do you believe the Titans are too casual with their approach to wide receiver?
Robbie, the answer to that question since I've been covering this team for 4 years has been yes. I know that's both GMs, I guess, at this point. And the one exception to that would have been the Julio Jones trade, which I was very much on board with that at the time. Didn't work out. So there's that. But I do think from the standpoint of I don't see how I would have never dreamed going into that draft last week that the Titans would be sitting there going into the 7th round having not drafted a wide receiver. That just made no sense to anybody. I mean, I think everybody expected, as we've all said, there were 2 big needs going into this, wide receiver and O-line. They did a really good job in the first round, I thought, on Skoronski coming in. That, to me, was by far my favorite pick of this draft. I was proud of the Titans for that. They didn't, do all these things that the rumor said they were going to do. They didn't, trade away everything to move up. And I was proud. That was a solid, safe first-round pick, and they haven't made too many of those here lately. But to not get a receiver, yeah, that to me just, it overshadows a lot of what you did accomplish or what you could accomplish with a draft haul that I think we're not going to know really a lot about here for a few years. They've got some guys who could end up paying off pretty well, the quarterback, the running back, some others.
What's your least favorite pick?
Ooh, that's probably Levis. I mean, I'm just being honest about that. I didn't love the Levis pick, but I liked it a lot better in the 2nd round than I would have in the 1st round.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what did you make of the Tyjae Spears pick as well in the 3rd round? Obviously, you watch him play, and especially the USC game, and he just tore him up. And then you hear about the medical reports coming out after, and you spent a 3rd-round pick on a guy that could be, a 3rd down back. What did you make of that pick?
Honestly, to revisit my earlier answer, that's probably the least favorite, but it has nothing to do with Tyjae Spears. I think that guy could be a really good player. I mean, you watch his highlights, and he's a real problem for defenses. I see why you would want him. I just, from the standpoint of where the Titans were in the draft, that I just don't see how you don't draft a wide receiver there. And going back to what I didn't like more than anything about taking Levis was the fact that you gave up some real estate in the 3rd round this year and yet next year's 3rd round pick to do it. Now, I understand you probably had to do that. If you wanted Will Levis, given that the Rams and some other teams were sitting right there, you probably had to do that to move up and get him. So, just me personally, when you look at the Titans on that 2nd day, you didn't need a quarterback in the 2nd round necessarily. You didn't need a running back in the 3rd round. They drafted 2 backups over the biggest need on the team at receiver. That would have been my problem with it.
So at receiver, Gentry, clearly a lot of hope invested in Treylon Burks, and he's basically got to be wide receiver 1. How do you view the rest of the room, and do you anticipate, and do you take Vrabel's comments and the post-draft presser as kind of there's something in mind that they have, or just sort of like placate everyone and just stop asking about receivers? You never know what might happen.
That's a good question. I don't know. It was probably the placate everyone. They might have something in mind. I don't know, but if you look at really what's out there and who's available right now, I don't really see it. Maybe there's some trade or something they can do, and they have. I will say with a lot of the moves leading up to the draft, they did create some financial flexibility that wasn't there for a while. So I do feel like if there's something out there that makes sense, they would have a little bit of a cushion to go do it. But I just, I think what stood out to me from what Vrabel said was that, they kept following the board. Every answer, it seemed like, had to do with their board. And, he said when they picked that it was never close to a receiver on their board, and said, okay, but, I think that's always the question, right, in any draft is need versus best player available. And, the Titans keep saying they're at some point, somebody in the room probably needs to look around and go, hey, guys, we need a wide receiver.
Right. Yeah, no question. 6-1.
Yeah, need should have some say in the matter.
Absolutely. Gentry Estes, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Gentry, great stuff as always. Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, you bet. Take care, guys.
Gentry Estes from the Tennessean, our guest on Robby and Rexrode. We'll take more of your thoughts on the Titans, react to what Gentry had to say there, and I'll throw the question out to Joe and to you all. Do you believe the Titans are too casual with their approach at wide receiver? We'll get into that coming up next as well. Make sure you join 102.5 The Game for the second annual Music City Celebrity Golf Tournament presented by Gary Force Acura, benefiting Souls for Souls, coming up on June the 7th at Hermitage Golf Course. You can put your team together and come play with athletes, musicians, and other local celebs to support a great cause and have loads of fun. Plus, you'll have the chance to win awesome prizes. You can sign up to play, sponsor, or donate at thegamenashville.com/golf. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The postseason is here. Whether it's the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs or the NBA, we have you covered on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Family Leisure invites you to vacation at home with your family with a new spa, pool, patio furniture, or wood play gym this summer.
I really want a spa.
Family Leisure has 40 spas on display from 3 of the biggest brand names: Artesian, Best Spas, and American Select. Prices starting as low as $29.99.
What about above ground pools?
Family Leisure has hundreds of pools in stock and on sale. Guaranteed installation before Memorial Day, starting as low as $29.99. Installed.
Wow, that's great.
If you're looking at a spa, I want some new patio furniture. Family Leisure has patio furniture from all the big brand names like Hannemint, Woodard, Jensen, and Apricity. There's more than 100 sets on display to choose from with free delivery.
That sounds good to me too. And maybe a new Sabre infrared grill to go with it.
We really should look at the wood play gym for the kids. Family Leisure has the Diamond Point swing set on sale at only $24.99 installed. It's Family Leisure's Vacation at Home sale going on now at both huge locations, Franklin and Antioch.
Family and fun come together.
Music City will be rocking June 23rd through the 25th with a different sound, the sound of NASCAR.
Start your engine!
The Ally 400 is back at Nashville Superspeedway, and this year, it's a night race. NASCAR in Nashville. It's guitars and fast cars under the lights. Visit NashvilleSuperspeedway.com to get your tickets for the triple header weekend, including the Ally 400, Tennessee Lottery 250, and the Rackley Roofing 200 today.
B&B Flooring has a goal to bring your dream floor to you. Over 30 years running and locally owned and operated, B&B Flooring's full-service, commercial, and residential team will handle anything from tile, luxury vinyl, carpet, hardwood, rubber, and all commercial products.
Visit their showroom at 2204 Northwest Broad Street in Murfreesboro or check them out at bnbflooringtn.com to make your flooring selection today. Call 615-216-0551 and schedule a free quote at your home or office.
We got you covered.
The
This is R.A. Dickey, and I'm proud to tell you about my friends at Smoky Mountain Tops. When my wife Ann and I needed new countertops for our kitchen, we called Smoky Mountain Tops. We wanted to make sure that we worked with a company dedicated to quality, craftsmanship, and customer service. And that's what we got with Smoky Mountain Tops. Go with the pros at Smoky Mountain Tops for any of your surfacing countertop needs. Located in Knoxville and Asheville. Visit SmokyMountainTops.com.
312 Pizza Company is a family-owned restaurant located in the heart of Germantown, serving up authentic Chicago-style eats right here in Nashville. 312 Pizza Company only uses the best all-natural ingredients and makes everything in-house from scratch every single day. And trust me, you can taste the difference. They've got deep dish pizza, thin crust pizza, their Italian beef. You'll taste the freshness. Stop in for a pint of local beer and a slice of pizza, or order online at 312pizzaco.com. 312 Pizza Company, Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria.
Anyone want to tell me what happened? Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Robby and Rexrode podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to thegamenashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
You're listening to Robby and Rexrode.
It's part of this nutritious breakfast.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Did you think or expect a wide receiver might get drafted by this team before number 228?
They don't ask me, my thoughts on draft picks. Mike and Rand make those decisions. Obviously, I knew it was an area that could be addressed, but they did just a little bit probably later than I thought it was going to. But we added some other key positions, some talent that will help us across the board.
That was Ryan Tannehill yesterday addressing the media after the Titans draft and discussing the wide receiver room added in the 7th round in the 2023 NFL Draft. Taking your thoughts, 615-737-1025, Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty, helping home buyers and sellers in Middle Tennessee for 20 years. We are streaming live as well on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook today and every single day. Our video streaming brought to you by Superbook, live from our 102.5 The Game studio, brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. So, Joe, we've talked about this before, and Paul Koharski's brought this up with us a few times as well, the approach that the Titans have at the wide receiver position. And we know it's a new general manager now. We know the A.J. Brown stuff, all those things that we've talked about a million times at this point. And Rand Carthon is now the general manager, and we get through, the first part of this offseason through free agency and now through the draft, and very minimal work has been done to improve the wide receiver position. So my question to you is, Joe, do you consider the Titans to be too casual in their approach to the wide receiver position?
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair. It's well, look, go back to Corey Davis. And Corey Davis leaving. So we're going back to the 2020 season. You're talking about, I'd say, the best Tennessee Titans offense in Nashville in the Titans era of all time. And the willingness to let Corey Davis go. Now, I think the thinking in the building then wasn't, this kind of goes back to the NWI thing I wrote back then, but it's like, when you have Derrick Henry and you have A.J. Brown, then that other, a lot of people can do that other job.
Right.
Which I think, I think that's fine. I would say right now that we've seen it play out, Corey Davis was certainly underwhelming in New York, right?
Yes.
I mean, he's fine. I mean, he's still a better player than NWI. But, I get that. I think that there's some truth to it, and I think it's fine if you have, someone who manipulates the defense so much that, some people are just going to get, great matchups and man coverage and, and be able to take advantage. So I think that's part of the mindset. Obviously, the problem is then you trade away A.J. Brown, and what do you, what do you have? So it looks that way. I think that the Titans were telling the truth about the board. And like Gentry said last segment, it's just, I asked Rand during one of the press, I guess it would have been Friday night, does need ever trump the board? And I should before I bring something like that up, I should have his response in front of me. But basically, I mean, I'd say basically he said no. Now, to me, at times, like Gentry said, there's got to be some semblance of like, okay, this guy's a few spots below this guy, but this position group is a disaster for us. This is not some huge reach, and I don't know that's the case. Maybe all the receivers that were left for them when they drafted Tyjae Spears were just so far away. I still feel like Tyler Scott could have been a good pick there.
Yeah.
Tyler Scott went later than expected. I mean, like Brugler is a huge Tyler Scott fan, was blown away how late he went. Who knows? Well, somebody who went lower there will probably be good, and we'll look at it in retrospect and say, man, they should have taken that guy. But that was a spot. Unless there's just a huge gap where, man, I think you've got to go receiver there. I think some of your question though, Robbie, also has to do with the history. So is it over all these years their inability? I think it's more just bad choices than nonchalance, isn't it? And they tried with Justin Hunter, they tried with Kendall Wright, they tried with DGB, they tried with Julio, and like they've tried.
Right, but I guess I specifically mean since Vrabel's been head coach, right? Like, I mean, you had A.J. Brown, and we know that Vrabel was not a big fan of the A.J. Brown trade. It was pretty clear to watch that all take place. And you drafted Treylon Burks. But like last year, I mean, you got Treylon Burks, Robert Woods. You tried to address it. You tried to address it with Julio Jones, and a lot of what they've done hasn't worked out. So you get to this offseason, and you know how important it is to get the wide receiver part of this figured out. But it's also like you look, as we've talked about, you looked at the free agent class. It's not good. Like, it's not a good class of wide receivers in free agency. So like the reason I'm bringing it up is I've heard a lot of the Titans are too casual in their approach to wide receiver, and I get the thinking behind that. But it's also like, well, they traded for Julio Jones. It didn't work. They did trade for Robert Woods last year, and it didn't work. Like, the moves that they've made just haven't worked. Now, nobody can excuse the A.J. Brown trade. I get all that. But, like, this offseason, other than the draft, which I can agree with everybody who says they should have addressed wide receiver before the draft. There's no question about it. Like, what free agent wide receiver would you have been okay with the Titans just pouring out some money to this offseason? I'm not saying that nobody on the list would have been worthy of consideration, and they did go get Chris Moore. I get that, but that's not moving the needle a whole lot in this offense. My question really is, like, are they too casual, or they just made the wrong choices?
Don't forget Josh Reynolds.
Yes.
That was another attempt that he'd been very good. That's the thing, like Josh Reynolds and Robert Woods in the Rams offense, which is the closest comp to how the Titans run their offense of that new Shanahan, of the modern Shanahan. I mean, both those guys were great there, and then come here and aren't. So,
Marcus Johnson, too.
Yeah. Well, so that's the thing, and he was kind of he was actually a good find, a low cost good find, and yeah, that guy was good when he was healthy. Yeah, so they've tried a lot. I mean, the question is totally fair right now because, yes, you're right. The free agency crop was bad, just bad. And how many times do we say, well, boy, are they going receiver and are they going receiver heavy in this draft? They have to, right? So I respect the big board. I think over a long haul, the teams that stick to that, and you got to have a good big board, but the teams that stick to that over time are better for it because you're prioritizing just getting the best football players you can get, and you never know, your depth chart so many different things can happen. I do think that this particular draft, this team trying to be competitive this season, had to be a little bit like, guys, one way or another, a receiver's got to be landed here. I mean, they could have. With how much talk was there about them grabbing, Jackson Smith and Jigba, at 11? I mean, somewhere, and that is where it's like maybe step back a little bit, during the process and say, like, we got to address this, right? So that makes your question more than fair. Again, it also, though, the other part of this that I tried to get at asking Vrabel, and he's never going to really tip his hand on what he thinks about people, but does this reflect some confidence in some people they have now that we don't have on the outside?
Let's go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Corey in Donaldson. Corey, good morning. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, thanks, fellas. Enjoy your show, man. I listen to it every morning. And I just wanted to maybe throw something out there. Maybe you guys have talked about it already, but I wanted to get your thoughts on maybe this theory. But how do you guys think the quality of maybe this draft class and perhaps even next year's draft class, specifically like in rounds 3 through 7, how does like the COVID year you think maybe impact that? In that you have these, players who are granted an extra year of eligibility, so you may have these players in college 5, maybe even 6 years, kind of all jumbled in with a new crop of talent that's coming out of high school. It may not impact the top round with just the top talent, but is there any thoughts to maybe that the class being just better quality, so what you get in the 4th, 5th, 6th round may be better players just by sheer volume? So I appreciate you taking my call. I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah, thanks, Corey. It's a great question. What do you make of that, Joe?
I've not thought about that or heard that, but I mean, that's really interesting. Yeah. There's a lot of, effects. One thing is different, but when he mentions the COVID years, the 5th year options, someone did a study recently and there's a dip for those guys, taken in the 20 draft, which I don't think is a coincidence, right? I mean, you just had you had a limitations in evaluation. That's different from what he's talking about, but that is a really interesting thing to consider. The fact that you just had that extra time to develop and be in college, and some of those guys are maybe a little more mature. So that's really interesting. I could see it.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. We'll continue the conversation on the Titans and the wide receiver room. Got more of your thoughts to get to on our text line. We'll get to those coming up next. Also, a Preds thought that I want to throw out there as well that I was thinking about yesterday as I've watched the Stanley Cup playoffs kind of unfold here, that is directly related to Barry Trotz and how he's going to build the team as they move forward. We'll get into all that coming up next as well. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game has an all-star lineup Monday through Friday. Batting first at 6 a.m., it's Robby and Rexrode.
Yeah, you take that. You take that. Take 80% of that.
Followed by Chase and Michelle at 9.
Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
I need my caffeine so much.
Then it's Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace at 11.
Yep, green light, let's go.
You've got a lot of options.
He say, she say. And bringing it home at 2, Jared Stillman for Stillman and Company.
That guy will be a good coach.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Robby Stanley here, and it's time for the NBA playoffs, and you can get in on the action right from the first tip with FanDuel. Right now, all customers can get a no-sweat same-game parlay every weekend when you bet the NBA playoffs. That's right. Just place a 3+ leg same-game parlay or same-game parlay plus on any NBA playoff game, and you'll get bonus bets back if you don't win. Game 2 tonight between the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors. I'm going to go with the Warriors in this matchup. They'll even up the series at home. I'll take Steph Curry over on points as well. But you can take it any way you want to take it. Just make sure you do it on FanDuel Sportsbook. They've got great promotions every single day, and when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet all the playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com/Rob and get a no-sweat same-game parlay every weekend of the NBA playoffs. Once again, that's FanDuel.com/Rob. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Have you noticed that most ice creams now come in smaller cartons? Not Bluebell. We're still making a full half-gallon and a full pint of tasty goodness. Bluebell wouldn't have it any other way.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your neighborhood Food Lion.
Hey, Ray Jeter here with Harness. Are you looking to take ownership in a position that will support your growth and development? We are an excavation and site utilities contractor. Several things set us apart from our competition, but we take the most pride in the professional development of our people. We have multiple openings for operators, pipe layers, and laborers. Our pay and benefits are second to none, including our 401k program. Apply today at selectharness.com. Harness LLC. Build people, move dirt.
Parman Energy is your one-stop petroleum solution across all of Tennessee, offering turnkey petroleum solutions for professionals in major industries, serving trucking fleets, construction companies, industrial plants, and more. Whether a large corporation or owner-operator, Parman Energy has your diesel fuel, lubricant, DEF, and equipment needs. No matter how you're getting there, start with Parman. Visit ParmanEnergy.com for more info. Your Tennessee petroleum solution, providing totally outrageous customer service.
Tonight on 102.5 and 106.3, The Game.
The Heat and Hemi Butler are looking to go up 2-0 in the series as they took on the Knicks in Game 2. We'll have all that coverage for you after Stillman and Company at 6.
Your home for the NBA playoffs is 102.5 and 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Tune in for Nashville Sounds Baseball at 6:35 on 94.9 The Fan. The Sounds taking on the St. Paul Saints, the AAA affiliate of the Minnesota Twins. Sounds Baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by 312 Pizza, Farm Bureau Health Plans, and Family Leisure. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezvik here with you. On this Thursday morning, we'll have Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports coming up at 8 o'clock for his weekly visit, so looking forward to that. Throwing the question out there, are the Titans too casual when it comes to their approach at wide receiver? John in Nashville says, you're assuming Traylon will not improve this year. AJ was not off the wall good his first year as well. I keep hearing this, like AJ Brown was not great his rookie year, and I'm like, guys, did y'all watch AJ Brown play? His first year, he had over 1,000 yards receiving and was a bona fide number one wide receiver by the time his rookie year was done.
About 20 yards a catch.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. First game,
I'm
went
not saying
about 70 yards for a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm not saying Traylon Burks won't improve and can't be good, but if you want to compare Traylon Burks' rookie year and AJ Brown's rookie year, it's really not close. AJ Brown was much better. Now he was more available, but he was much better.
That's part of being much better too.
Right.
Yeah, it's worlds apart. So no, I'm not saying he can't improve either at all. But I think the texter there is I guess thinks that if he does, then problem solved. I mean, Traylon Burks, reasonable improvement, realistic improvement. Look, if he becomes a bona fide number one receiver, that's fantastic for the Titans. Even if he does, who else is out there? You do have to have. You got to have more than that, I think. Now, if the offensive line is truly fixed, well, okay, and he becomes number one receiver, and the tight ends, the new tight end is good too, and Chig takes a step. I mean, you can talk yourself into a good offense. I also look at the offensive line, and I'm seeing a backup, a second-year tackle who had ups and downs as a rookie, a guy who's never played center as a starter who is a bit undersized, and a rookie. So, look, it may be way better, but I think we're taking a leap if we just assume that.
Joe, real quickly before I get to my Pred's thought here, some news that Albert Breer put out there. The Titans are hiring Falcons college scouting director Anthony Robinson as assistant GM, per his sources. He's second to get that title under Rand Carthon. Robinson will oversee scouting, and fellow assistant GM Chad Brinker will oversee football operations. Similar structure to Philly and Cleveland was the tweet that Albert Breer put out there. So what do you make of kind of the structure of the Titans front office right now with a couple of assistant GMs now adding Anthony Robinson of the Atlanta Falcons?
Yeah, I was wondering, I figured soon after the draft we'd kind of have some clarity on is there someone new? Because, look, Ryan Cowden, Ryan Cowden has still been employed this whole time, and that's what happens. A new GM comes in and the old staff, it's like, okay, it's a really weird situation in the NFL, but it makes sense. It's like you don't have time to switch over everything. So, he brought in Brinker, but for the most part, it was the old staff working on this draft, including Ryan Cowden. I mean, I never saw like Ryan Cowden ever on, any shots of the draft room or anything like that, but he's been employed by the Titans. To me, this would have been him if they were keeping him. And of course, Cowden and Monty Ossenfort both were up for this GM job. Ossenfort gets the Cardinals job. I still think Ryan Cowden is a guy who could be a GM in this league, and I would expect that at some point. But now I would expect he's out based on this news. That's not been made official, but that would be my expectation, that for him it would be better for his career to go somewhere else and be higher in a structure. Maybe not, but I think that's what this signifies. That so you got two new number. I guess it's number 2A and number 2B under Rand Carthon. Breer has tweeted that before too, about the Titans analytics and everything they do, that it's very similar to Cleveland. Some people may not like that, but really, other than the Watson contract, Cleveland has done a great job of building a roster.
Yep, for sure. Like I said, we'll have Charles Robinson coming up at 8 o'clock for his weekly visit. We'll get back into the Titans and all things NFL with him as well. Joe, I do want to run this by you. First off, the Predators had their press conference in Milwaukee yesterday. Did not name another head coach. It was a affiliation announcement between the Predators and the Milwaukee Admirals.
Darn.
And they have extended their agreement for another couple of years. So everybody calm down on that front. I did not think that they were going to announce Carl Taylor as the head coach in Milwaukee yesterday, and they certainly did not do that. So that's one thought on that front. I was doing Preds Insiders yesterday, and it was interesting to kind of take a look around the playoffs and the way things have transpired so far. And it made me think of Barry Trotz and the way that he's going to have to build this roster. And we probably don't have enough time to fully get into this discussion, and we can revisit it at some point. But it got me thinking, is the way that NHL teams build their roster going to have to change? And what I mean by that is, how important is the goaltender position really? We know how important UC Saros is to the Predators, and we know how great he was down the stretch. But with the way the game is now, we've always kind of compared goaltender to quarterback in football, right? It's unequivocally the most important position, and you got to have one. And I'm not saying that goaltending's not important, but I look at the playoffs, the teams left in the playoffs, and the league and the way it's trended over the course of the last couple of years, where scoring has been up. And I wonder, is being able to score your way out of trouble, for lack of a better term, is that going to be the most important thing moving forward? And just think about who you think the top goaltenders are in the league. My guess is it's some combination of Andrei Vasilevsky, Igor Shesterkin, UC Saros, Ilya Sorokin, the guy who's going to win the Vezina Trophy this year, Linus Ullmark. All of them are out, and some of them didn't make the playoffs. So, again, I'm not saying that goaltending's not important, but the Edmonton Oilers, right, and they lost last night, I get that. But the Oilers last night and throughout the playoffs, what makes the Oilers really good is that no lead is safe. They can score their way out of trouble. Toronto's the same way. Samsonov's been fine so far in the playoffs, but they can score their way out of trouble. The Florida Panthers can score their way out of trouble. So it just makes me wonder, again, I'm not saying that UC Saros isn't important. I'm not saying that it's not important to have a good goaltender. But I think with the way the game is going, Joe, it is more important than ever to be able to have enough offensive punch to you to be able to score your way out of trouble. And I think if you're a new general manager, or even a general manager that's been at a team for a while now, you got to build your roster to be more offensive with the way that the game is changing in the NHL. We see, the NHL goes through cycles all the time, right? When the Kings were winning in 2012, 2014, the style was, we got to get heavy. Everybody's got to get heavier, and they got to play that big physical heavy game. And then Pittsburgh started winning a couple cups, and it was, we got to get speed and we got to get skill. So there's all sorts of changes to the style of play in the league, but the league has been very offensive the last couple of years, and I think they like that, and I think they want that, and I think that's the way the game's going to continue to go.
I agree with you. I will say, I watched Draisaitl's fourth goal last night, and it's gosh, if only you had a little bit of goaltending with this team,
Yeah.
But no, I think you're right. I do think that, and I think that'll be. I think that's the way things are trending. I think that's the way things are going. Well, I think also at some point here, we're going to see a team make a run because of some goaltender who goes nuts. I still think that's going to be a thing. But from the Preds' perspective on this, just hammers home, not even if this doesn't necessarily relate directly to it, but to me, it just reminds you this is why the Preds must take one of these goaltenders and turn them into offense. But to your point, that's the thing, too. It's like if goaltending is devalued a little bit in favor of, offense, does that change that equation a little bit for them? I still believe one of those guys will bring a haul back and that they have to do that at some point, not too far in the future.
I can't wait for the text of people accusing me of saying UC Saros is not important to the Predators. It's not what I'm saying. Not what I'm saying.
Tweet that headline.
I'm just saying that, you look around the league right now and you got to be able to score. Maddie on the text line says, Robby, I hope that's not true. If so, we're toast at 2 goals per game. And I'm not necessarily talking about like right now, but just like if you're Barry Trotz building the roster, and he kind of, like in a way, kind of alluded to this when he was first hired. Yeah. Like you got to be, he wants to be more offensive. And look, every general manager gets up there and says, well, we want to be bigger and faster and stronger and all this other stuff. But he's made kind of a pretty consistent point since he's, been announced that he's going to take over as the job, is they need to get more offensive. And I just wonder, with the way the game is changing, is that going to change how general managers choose to build their team as they move forward? Just a thought I had as the playoffs continue to go on, and we got some wild scores out there. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, it is time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You can check it out every morning at 7:45. Charles Robinson at 8 o'clock. All that ahead. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game has an all-star lineup Monday through Friday. Batting first at 6 a.m., it's Robby and Rexrode.
Yeah, you take that. Take me 80% of that.
Followed by Chase and Michelle at 9.
Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
I need my caffeine so much.
Then it's Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace at 11.
Yep, green light, let's go.
You've got a lot of options.
He say, she say. And bringing it home at 2, Jared Stillman for Stillman & Company.
That guy will be a good coach.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Attention, buckaroos. It's time for the Franklin Rodeo. So saddle up and hold on to your lasso. It's 3 days of bull riding, calf roping, western wear, funny clowns, and some of the most talented horses you've ever seen. Join the Stampede from May 18th to May 20th. The Franklin Rodeo is held at the Williamson County Ag Expo Park and is brought to you by Ram Rodeo, Franklin Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Williamson Health, Event 1FX, and Wesley Mortgage. Tickets on sale now at franklinrodeo.com. It's a buckin' good time.
AM radio provides always-on news, sports, talk, traffic, and weather reports. And it's also a vital service that provides important emergency information when your community needs it most. Tell Congress you need AM radio to stay in your car. Because when cell phones and the internet are down, this free emergency service is critical. And when you don't have electricity, radio in the car is often your only lifeline. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Drowning in IRS debt? If you can't afford to pay your IRS debt due to economic hardship, you can now be free of IRS collection efforts by taking advantage of a special IRS tax hardship program. This program allows Americans who owe the IRS to resolve their delinquent tax debt once and for all. In some cases, maybe even reducing what you owe significantly. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Simply dial 800-283-5948. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back or have years of unfiled tax returns, help is standing by. Just call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-283-5948 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-283-5948 to see if you qualify. That's 800-283-5948.
Leroy 71's backed up. What's your 20? Over.
Olivia needs more drivers for her trucking company to go the extra mile.
Got 3 more stops to make.
She wants to hitch a team to drive business forward.
Lots of double nickels on the 169. You know what I'm over? This driver shortage.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Petit.
Take some Titans.
Derrick Henry.
Some Preds.
Roman Yossi.
Even some hoops.
Light fires. Wow.
Put it in a blender. And what do you have? Chase and Michelle.
Pretty incredible.
Call or text and weigh in.
The fastest 2 hours in sports radio. Weekday mornings at 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The time is now for the Rex Rant.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
On Robby and Rexrode, here on ESPN, 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
White Sox, White Sox, go, go, White Sox. Let's go, 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 White Sox.
And it is that time of the day, time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode here on Robby and Rexrode. You can check it out every morning at 7:45 here on the program. Joe Rexrode's rant of the day. It'll either be the Rex Rant, the Rob Rant, or the Red Rant every day at 7:45. So make sure you check that out every day here on the program. The Chicago White Sox, that apparently have a song, are coming back. Joe Rexrode, a big fan of the Chicago White Sox.
Wow. Did I take too much time getting my coffee?
You can't make fun of the White Sox because you missed the song because you were late.
I'm sorry, guys. I really am excited about this rant too. This is so weird. That never happens. What happened?
Oh, it happens.
Feels like I'm never late.
Doesn't happen much. All right. So today I need to have a feud with Paul Kaharski in public. It's time to bring this public.
Let's do it.
It kind of became public on Twitter on Saturday, okay? But this goes back 5 years. So, quick background. The Titans played in London against the Chargers in 2018. So, Kaharski, our beat writer Eric Bacharach at the time went. Kaharski, probably about 3 or 4 other people were covering the game in London. I think that's Quinn going nuts. Give me 1 second.
We could do that. Thank you very much. Gus and Quinn have infiltrated the Rex Rant once again. Gus and Quinn, a popular topic on the Rex Rant. No question about that.
Yes, they are.
Just unbelievable. Okay, so basically a couple reporters, who cover the Titans on a regular basis, tweeted a lot of play-by-play of that game, okay? Never said, hey, I'm in London. Here in London, it's lovely, this time of year. Tweeted play-by-play. At some point, Kaharski had a meltdown in the press box in London. It's like, why are you pretending to be here when you're not here? So he tweeted some angry thing about people not, pretending like they're there, which I thought was hilarious. So then a few days later, a week or two later, he tweeted about the World Series, and I quote tweeted in all caps and said, I sure hope you're in the press box there, Paul, talking about the World Series game. Yeah. This has been years in the making. Yeah, we've argued back and forth on this, but so Saturday, the Titans drafted Wiley out of Cincinnati, and I was waiting to go to the Titans draft room until after Caroline. She had a play, so I'm like, I'm going to the play, and then I'll go later for the press conference and all that. So they drafted him, and I just tweeted hey, here, Josh Wiley drafted, tight end. Here's what Brugler said about him. Sent a tweet out. Went to Caroline's play. Kaharski tweets, you gonna come here? And then I was like, Joe, yeah, you stay out of my affairs. My daughter has a play. And then he starts going in on this like you're pretending you're here. Okay. I'm like, so you're telling me, Paul, that you have to be at the Titans facility where you're watching the draft on television like everybody else to tweet about who they draft? So then we go back and forth. I show up at the facility and I start swearing at him. And it's great. It's great. So then yesterday, we're in the press conference, and I don't even remember which player. It was someone before Tannehill. And another report, because I don't need to bring other people into this. This will be me and Paul arguing, okay?
Okay.
another reporter who covers the Titans and some other teams, tweets a tweet about like something that like Aaron Brewer said. Yeah, I think it was Brewer. Like Aaron Brewer said he's going to play center. Again, wasn't like here at the press conference. I looked in Aaron Brewer's eyes and he told me I'm going to be center next year. No, it was just a tweet about I'm going to play center next year. Kaharski like he shows me the phone of the tweet and he seriously says, "You don't have a problem with this?" And I'm like, "No, idiot. I don't have a problem with it." I went to the entire press conference yesterday. I'm like, everybody in here, does anyone in here agree with Kaharski? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you agree with Kaharski that this is some problem that you tweet about things that you're not right in the room for. Again, if you misrepresent yourself, that's fine. I agree. So you should not misrepresent yourself and say you're somewhere you're not.
Right.
But if you're just saying, this is what he said, this happened, they drafted this guy, whatever, the Titans got a big first down on 3rd and 9 in London. Why is this such a freaking huge deal for Paul Kaharski? I'm sick of it, and so I had to bring it public today.
Well, I think
enough, Kaharski.
I want to say that on this very program, you two have had a discussion similar to this before. And
did we?
I think so. And I think it was, basically at the root of it, and I think the London example was brought up, but I think at the root of it was, he had, sponsors that were paying for him to go out there in London, and that's what, he wanted those sponsors to be rewarded with coverage, I think is what it was.
Okay, well, they are, and you were there. So, because some other reporter tweets about the game, again, this is what I countered him with. Well, so for example, I tweeted at Mike Herndon. Love Mike Herndon, friend of the show. Actually, I've been meaning to text Herndon to so he realizes that I'm just messing with Kaharski here. But Mike Herndon had a lot of tweets about the draft this weekend. He does a great job of writing about the Titans. He writes for Kaharski's site now. And I tweeted at Herndon, I'm like, Mike, I need you to delete all your tweets because Kaharski says you have to be in the Titans facility watching on the television in the Titans facility to talk about this draft. And then Kaharski's like, well, he never said he was here. So everybody else announces their presence? Hello, here's a tweet I have about Will Levis. And by the way, right now I'm standing by the coffee maker in the Titans facility. I'm very close to the Titans making their picks.
Geotag
so close I can almost
man.
hear. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's inane. It's ridiculous. Yes, if someone misrepresents themselves, we can all agree. You can't pretend you're somewhere you're not. Okay? You shouldn't put a date line on your story that says, London, if you weren't in London. And you pretend to be there, but just tweeting about things that happen. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, if anybody out there agrees with Kaharski, I'm fine. Let me know.
I'm trying to decide.
I couldn't find anyone in the media room yesterday who agreed with him.
I'm trying to decide which feuds I enjoy more. Is it you and Jared feuding, or is it you and PK feuding? Both of them are good. And I'm trying to decide which one I enjoy more. Like Nate on the text line says, do we think PK and Jared get on Joe's nerves on purpose to get a rise out of him and get mentioned on y'all's show? This is from Nate on the text line.
Oh, for sure. To try to get a rise out of Joe. Just like you guys make fun of the Bears in Kentucky, and it makes me so mad.
Yeah, but I
legitimately
make fun of
Bears fan.
You are the worst, both of you.
Well, I think Kaharski and Stillman, again, this is why I'm trying to put them together.
Well, I know.
I'm going to learn how to produce, which will only take about 8 or 9 years to teach me, so that I can produce their show. I mean, that's the dream, is that I can enjoy them every day, and then them screaming at each other, me screaming at both of them. I mean, to me, that's just good radio.
I will say on this topic, I think since COVID happened too, people sometimes are required to cover a game or something for their publication or whoever they're working for, but aren't there, which is also a weird concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the 20 season, I went to one road. Some people like TD and I think PK, they went to most of the road games. I went to the Ravens game, which was again like an episode of The Walking Dead. Like you're in this stadium with no one in it. It was so weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all on Zoom. So yeah, you're right. COVID also sort of changed the the equation. But of course, this London thing before that, now we're back into normalcy, and it's just again, if you agree with Kaharski, let me know. I'm trying to find another human who does.
Trey on the text line says, "Can you please keep doing the PK voice?" Zach in Nashville says, "I've been waiting on this rant all week. It lived up to expectations. Also, Mike knows that you're joking, Joe. We laughed about it." Talking about Mike Herndon.
Okay, good. Yeah, I figured, but sometimes people get caught in the crossfire as PK and I scream at each other. I mean, look, I love him, and I love him and Jared, and they give me a lot of joy in life, and sometimes they also get my blood pressure way beyond what it should be.
Tyler says, "Joe would be a great producer for PK and Stillman. At least one of them would always be muted." This from Tyler on the text line. Very well done.
That's a good point.
Coming up next, we'll be joined by Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports. We'll get his thoughts on the NFL draft and all things NFL as well. Looking forward to that coming up next. Let me tell you about the Nashville Predators. Predators 2023-24 season tickets are on sale now. The Preds will be celebrating their 25th anniversary throughout next season. They've got full, half, and quarter season plans that are available to you, and you can join the Loyal Legion today and receive the best seat locations at the best pricing, up to 50% off discounts on concessions throughout the season as well, plus a big summer coming up, priority access to the 2023 NHL Draft and awards, both of which are hosted right here in Nashville. You can learn more at NashvillePredators.com/season tickets. Once again, that's NashvillePredators.com/season tickets.
All the big plays.
Tannehill, hammering right up the middle. Touchdown, Tennessee.
All the big stories.
The Titans' window to contend is however long Derrick Henry stays Derrick Henry.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Gets it back and scores.
Our execution was good. They have not found their groove. It's always great to win in this league. It's tough to win.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
You don't have just an ordinary mom in your life. She's the best. Her work never stops. Her sacrifices are many. Her love is unfailing. This Mother's Day, Genesis Diamonds invites you to join us in celebrating and appreciating the mothers in our lives. Stop in and let one of our trusted advisors help you find a special, meaningful gift. Layering necklaces, stackable rings, eternity bands, pearls, elegant diamond pendants, and of course, stunning diamond earrings. Great Mother's Day ideas for any budget. There's no doubt we love Mom, but sometimes a little extra appreciation goes a long way as a thank you for helping us through challenges, making sacrifices, and always putting the family first. So whether it's her first Mother's Day or her 60th, Mom deserves a gift that's anything but ordinary. And at Genesis, that's our specialty. Exquisite rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, heirloom pieces. Timeless gifts of jewelry that she can enjoy and cherish for decades to come, and always be reminded of how special she is to the family. Genesis Diamonds, online at genesisdiamonds.net.
Shine Down. The Revolution's live tour continues. October 3rd, First Bank Amphitheater, Franklin, Tennessee. With very special guests, Papa Roach and Spirit Box. On sale this Friday, 10 a.m. Buy tickets at livenation.com. Don't miss Shine Down Live, part of the Farm Bureau Insurance Concert Series.
Ad paid for by the Sentinel Group. Attention veterans, active duty military, civilians, and contractors. If you were issued earplugs between 1999 and 2015 and were diagnosed with hearing loss or ringing in the ears, you may be entitled to compensation. The manufacturer of these military earplugs recently paid $9.1 million to resolve claims that their earplugs were defective, potentially exposing service members to damaging sound levels that could have resulted in hearing loss or tinnitus. If you or a loved one were issued earplugs and were diagnosed with tinnitus or hearing loss, don't wait. You fought for this country, and our attorneys want to fight for you. Call 800-725-0565 now for a free legal consultation and to see if you may be eligible to file a claim. Time restrictions may apply, and you pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. So call 800-725-0565 now. Again, 800-725-0565. That's 800-725-0565.
EasyCater presents We've Got Your Back. Up Singers.
Backup singers.
So I order barbecue for a 20-person client meeting. EasyCater calls and says, "Hi, Sarah, you probably need more food for that many people. Want us to add it for you?"
Doing it for you.
I say, "Yes, please."
Yes.
Turns out they were right. Good thing they asked, because Joyce's meeting notes can be pretty sassy when she's hungry.
Look out.
Client meetings? EasyCater has your back with over 100,000 restaurants. Order 24/7 on EasyCater.com and know.
We got your back.
Your Game Center update.
I'm Michelle Knezovic. The Hurricanes take down the New Jersey Devils 5-1 for Game 1 in Round 2 of this series. And the Vegas Golden Knights beat the Oilers 6-4 in their first matchup of the second round. The Celtics with a huge win over the 76ers, 121-87. That series is tied at 1-1. Jaylen Brown leading the Celtics with 25 points, and Tobias Harris leading the 76ers with 16. Ryan Tannehill spoke to the media for the first time this offseason on how he feels heading into this year.
You know, nothing's given to you in this league, and I've seen that over my now 12 years here in the NFL. Things can change quickly, so, you know, as a player, you understand, like I said earlier, you have a process that you go about, and you take advantage of each and every day and try to grow as a player every day that you get the opportunity to do that. And you have to progress, and you have to, you know, make plays when it comes down to it.
Paul Kaharski will join Chase and Michelle at 10:15 this morning. This report is presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. I'm Michelle Knezovic for 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 1025 and 1063.
1, 2, 3. I think it was a good game. Had a couple of big plays.
Oh, man, Yossi scored!
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. On Nashville's best sports talk. 1025 and 1063 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's showtime.
Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Thursday morning. And we go to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports, brought to you by the NFL Alumni Association. Charles, good morning. How are you?
What's up, gentlemen? How you doing this morning?
Awesome. Appreciate you taking time to be with us. Charles, Will Levis, drafted by the Tennessee Titans at number 33 overall. What did you make of his slide out of the first round and the Titans grabbing him at number 33?
It was interesting. It was definitely interesting. The pick, you know, I'm sure the fan base is happy. I mean, it's value, I think, at that point, considering this was somebody that was definitely debated by the Indianapolis Colts as the 4th overall pick. You know, I think it fills a pressing need definitely for the Titans in terms of giving them a quarterback that's got tools, that's got size. You know, definitely some upside there for Will Levis. I think what was interesting to me was in the pre-draft process, just talking to different teams about him, there was a lot of comparison to, look, Jay Cutler's name came up, you know, just like there's this edge that he has to him where it's, is this cockiness or is it arrogance? I think teams ask themselves that about him. And, you know, the disparity between the 2021 tape, the 2022 tape, I think some teams were fine with that. You know, he lost the coordinator. The talent around him in 2022 wasn't as good. He was hurt. There were plenty of reasons why he looked like he went from a potential number 1 overall pick to a questioned product in 2022. But I think really what was most interesting to me about it was after the pick was made, okay, and we're talking about like a whole day later, and what's always fun about the not even a whole day later, I think this was actually on Monday, when you get past the draft, what's really fun is you get a number of teams that suddenly will tell you a lot of things they wouldn't tell you before. And they'll tell you about some draft visits. They'll tell you about, prospects maybe they didn't like, prospects they love, all these different things. And I had a GM who it started to make the rounds, but the first guy that sent me the clip was a GM. He said, "Hey, did you see this?" And it was a clip of them making the pick, and it was Rand Carthon, obviously on the phone with Will Levis. It gets past the Amy Adams Strunk, and then it goes from Amy Adams Strunk to Mike Vrabel. And he just said, "Hey, did you see this?" And he's like, just what do you think of this clip? So I start watching it, and I thought, okay, well, the order of the phone call is interesting. You start picking apart like how what you see in terms of the order of who's talking to the prospect. It's still a second-round pick. It was interesting. It went from the GM to the owner and then the coach last. I thought it was interesting watching Mike Vrabel and just his demeanor, and then listening to what he was saying to Will Levis. And he's talking about, it was weird. It felt like he was coaching him in the moment about being gracious and having gratitude and being a good teammate and coming in and learning. And I was like, man, that is not stuff that you normally hear right off the bat when you have people who are overjoyed to make this, quarterback pick, and you're so lucky, and there's hugs, and then you kind of get this fist bump, and then Mike Vrabel turns away and we're off. And like I said, that clip made the rounds. I think people noticed that a little bit and were like, was this pick like a 100% pick? Was everybody on board with this? Was this an ownership pick? It's going to be interesting to sort of see how this all comes together, down the line. But I'll say this about Will Levis: if he goes out and he crushes it, if he makes good on all the talent that he has, no one's going to care about that pre-draft process or why he slipped or whether it's arrogance or cockiness. If he wins games and he goes out there and plays up to the 2021 tape, it'll be cockiness. It'll be like, oh, he's got that swagger. That's what it will be, and everybody will be happy. So it's a long answer, but it was pretty interesting, the Levis pick to me.
So, Charles, I mean, it doesn't matter now because it's the picks have been made, the quarterbacks are in place. It's going to be fascinating. I mean, the AFC South is actually interesting. So I don't know how often over the years we could say that, but I find it fascinating. But I do want to put a bow on the Titans' intent to trade up, intent to draft C.J. Stroud. What, from your perspective, happened there? Was did they actually? Because, the Cardinals can obviously tell anybody anything they want to when offers are on the table. But do you feel like the Titans did telegraph their pick and that it changed what the Texans were going to do? You told us before the draft about the Texans' idea of getting back up to get the quarterback.
Right. In terms of whether or not they telegraphed it, it's hard to say. I mean, I can tell you this. The Texans knew. The Texans knew who they were competing with. The Texans knew what player, at least they felt like they had a handle on what player that the Titans were coming up to get. And so what I was told by a lot of people involved in this, and this was on the clock, or at least after it all went down, it was later that day, and then in subsequent days, was that the way Arizona handled this was they told Tennessee and they told Houston, we're going to take offers on the pick. We want you to submit the offer the day before. We want the offer on the table. And the way that Houston approached that was, when they looked at Tennessee, they were like, we're going to have to overbid here. Like, we're going to have to put something on the table, because what effectively they were being told was Arizona's going to decide on the clock. Like, we're going to have these offers on the table, and then when things get rolling, we're going to make the decision about which offer we like or whether we just want to stick and pick. And so it was what was crazy about it was that even before the pick, I was texting with people, and it was like, all right, well, we don't know yet. Like, we're waiting. We have no clue what exactly Arizona's going to do, and we don't know what the opposing offers are between these teams. Each team didn't seem to know what the other team's offer was, and then obviously, I think it got tipped a little bit when I was tweeting out some things or whatever, and Ed Werder, who was with the Texans, was like, well, hey, they can outbid the Titans. And I was like, well, if they're going to outbid the Titans, they already did. They did it with their first offer. And so I I don't know how exactly the Texans knew that C.J. Stroud was the player that the Titans wanted to get up there and get. I mean, if you're both kicking tires on the same player, you're both doing the due diligence that you are, and you're both, frankly, trying to basically navigate up from that 11-12 area, maybe, you pick up clues along the way. But they definitely knew, because at one point I was texting with somebody with the Texans, and I said, I don't know, and this was after talking to someone with Arizona earlier in the morning, I was like, I don't know if Arizona really wants to go back that far. They want to get a tackle, and they're afraid that the tackle that they want is not going to be in that area code. And he said to me, well, they only have two choices, 11 or 12. It's like they're going back far anyway, so they're going to have to figure it out. And so they clearly knew. I think that's why Houston came to the table the way that they did. That's why they offered as much as they did, because they knew we're not going to have a chance to go back and forth. We just got to make an overwhelming offer and take Tennessee out of it. And it's also why when they kind of went on the clock, they're like, we got to pick the quarterback at 2, because we have no clue what ultimately Tennessee offered. We have to just take Tennessee out of the running. So we just take the quarterback at 2. If Arizona says, screw it, we're not taking your offer, then we're going to lose Will Anderson, and that stinks. But we're definitely not getting sniped on the quarterback by getting cute and trying to take the defensive player first. And there's a long answer here, but the ideology between what player you selected first was based on who Arizona wanted. They knew Arizona had a super high grade on Will Anderson, so if they passed Will Anderson at 2 and Arizona decides we don't like either offer, now we're taking your guy. We're taking Will Anderson because he's somebody that we think we can stick and pick. You've lost out on your player there, but they figured that's less likely to happen if we just take Stroud off the board at 2. And now Tennessee goes, well, that's our guy. We're not staying in this now. There's no reason for us. The whole process was predicated on us getting C.J. Stroud. So now Houston's only competing with Arizona at that 3rd pick at that stage, rather than competing with both Arizona and Tennessee if Stroud's still on the board.
Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports with us here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll have more with Charles coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Tonight, your Nashville Sounds continue their road trip at St. Paul.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Sounds win.
Pre-game at 6:20.
On your home of Nashville Sounds baseball, 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Get a great deal on one of the most versatile tractors in the industry, the Kubota BX, which is part of Kubota's tractor lineup rated #1 in durability and owner experience. Stop by Krebs Kubota today and bring home select BX series equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 72 months, plus save up to $800. Now through June 30th, see Krebs Kubota or go to KubotaUSA.com for more details. Krebs Kubota, Middle Tennessee's preferred equipment dealer. Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro. Online at KrebsKubota.com.
The Beach Boys. Live in concert. May 25th, 26th, and 27th at Schermerhorn Symphony Center. Performing with the Nashville Symphony. The Beach Boys return to the stage. Tickets on sale now at NashvilleSymphony.org. Don't miss the Beach Boys live with the Nashville Symphony.
She would do anything for you. She's your biggest fan. She's your mom. And mom turned upside down spells wow. So give her a day full of wows this Mother's Day, starting with an incredible gift from the Diamond Cellar. Hi, it's Alex Johnson from the Diamond Cellar. From classic diamond jewelry to luxury pieces from our world-class designers, we have the perfect gifts for every mom, stepmom, or grandmother. Show her how much you care with something she really wants, but would never buy herself. Visit us at the Diamond Cellar in Green Hills. The possibilities are endless.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Is your check engine light on? The free Fix Finder service reads your check engine, ABS, and maintenance lights. It even sends a detailed report directly to your email. When you need to get back on the road, AutoZone's free Fix Finder service is here. Get the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes. Only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
See details at AutoZone.com.
If you own a small to medium-sized business that kept employees on payroll through COVID, you may have a big cash refund waiting for you. The Employee Retention Credit is a tax credit of up to $26,000 per employee. And now, more businesses than ever qualify. The experts at RefundsPro.com specialize in cutting through the red tape of qualifying for this government program. Most of their refunds are over $100,000. Even businesses that have received PPP funds may be eligible. And there are absolutely no fees unless you receive a refund. So there's no reason not to apply. If your business experienced shutdowns, limited capacity, supply chain challenges, or reduced revenue due to COVID, you likely qualify. RefundsPro.com has already helped hundreds of businesses. So don't lose the refund you're owed by missing the deadline. Get started today with a free 5-minute questionnaire at RefundsPro.com. That's refunds with an S, pro.com.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025thegame and on Instagram at 1025thegame Nashville.
Hey!
Oh yeah, and like us on Facebook too.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You're locked into Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty.
I had the radio on. I'm listening to
1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063 The Game. We've got more with Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports, brought to you by the NFL Alumni Association. And Charles, the Titans in the third round selecting Tyjae Spears, running back out of Tulane, who was electric last year. He lit up USC in the Cotton Bowl. So, you know, the player himself, I think a lot of people are excited about, but some reports about his medical coming out after the pick was announced, where some no ACL apparently in his left knee, full thickness cartilage lost in the knee, and arthritis as well. So, number one, what'd you make of the pick of Tyjae Spears by the Titans going running back in the third round? And what do you make of the medical report associated along with it?
Well, you know, you're right. Monster season, you know, at Tulane. A lot to like there from a productivity aspect, you know. And then if you go back and you look at, you know, some of the higher end competition that he played, he fared really well. You know, I think, what was it, USC that he killed?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, when you talk to people about the tape, I mean, he absolutely showed that he's a high-level draft pick, a definite NFL running back, a guy that could be a lead back and a 3-down back. But the thing that was concerning was, and it was funny because he ended up on our All Juice team, and we named the All Juice team, and I had people who kind of pressed and said, the medical's definitely not clean there. I didn't care, obviously, for that purpose, but I found out that a number of teams had taken him off their board because, and when I say take him off the board, he wasn't even on a sub board. It wasn't like hey, we're putting him on a sub board and we get to a certain point, we'll take him. No, they had completely taken him off the board because of the concern about his knee and the thought that he's an extremely high risk when it comes to longevity in his NFL career. Now, I've read what he said, you know, in sort of response to the pushback about the knee in the report. I can tell you that what I had heard from other teams absolutely matches up with what's reported, that, you know, the ACL issues, the thickening, the you know, arthritis, that this is just something where teams thought the ones that were deciding to remove him completely from their selections just thought he could last a year, he could last 5 years. We don't really know, and we're not willing to roll the dice. And that's me paraphrasing here, but that was the feel on him. Again, you know, seeing what he said, seeing how he approaches it, you know, him talking about, hey, I'm going to call Frank Gore, all that, that's great and everything. But none of us really know, and I don't think he really knows how this is going to go on the NFL level. So talent-wise, I like the pick a lot. I like the player a lot. Now we just have to see, you know, how does it unfold on the NFL level, and I don't think that's anything any of us can answer. It's a risk. It's definitely a gamble. And when I looked at the Titans draft, I love Peter Skoronski. He was on our All Juice team as well. When I talked to teams, some teams thought, hey, he does have a shot at tackle. Others said, if he doesn't make tackle, he's going to play somewhere on the line and be a high-level starter. They love their flexibility. I thought that was a fantastic pick at 11. We talked about Levis at 33 and the potential complication there and who made the pick and all that stuff. And then 81, they went from, to me, concrete, like building block pick to we're rolling the dice on the next couple of picks and we're rolling it on upside. And if they cash in on the upside, those are two players that people are going to love, and whether it's ownership or the general manager or the head coach, whoever gets credit for those picks, if they pay off, it's going to be pretty immense.
So following up on the medicals, because obviously, Charles, 2 years ago, it was kind of a similar situation. I'd say more severe, probably, just because back stuff it never gets better. And Caleb Farley, we know how that's turned out, and some teams had him off the board. Is it the same teams generally, without asking you to tell us? These are teams that when you have a question like this, they're going to take a guy like that off the board, or is it more just situational? You know what I mean? Like, are there some teams you would you would just assume, a guy like this, they're not even going to mess with him? And if so, how has that worked out? For those teams, have you found them to be, I guess, right more than wrong?
Yeah, it tends to be. Well, first off, when you ask if it's the same teams, the funny thing about the NFL is that staffs turn over so much that it changes. Inside like a 10-year period, it can, it's the same team. Wait a couple of years, and that whole front office is gone, and the coaching staff is gone. So it's no longer that team that approaches it unless it's coming down from ownership. And if it's coming down from ownership, it's typically ownership got burned in a big way on some kind of player that they invested in, and they're not willing to take those risks. But I think that also maps with whether it's general managers who have come up through the scouting ranks, whether it's coaches that, are retreads or have gone through this process before. It's just, have you dealt with gambling on a medical? And if it doesn't pay off, and especially if it's the first time you gamble on it or the first couple of times you gamble on it, you just stop. You're like, we're not doing this again. Now, if you want to go back historically, if you went through the Frank Gore experience, you're like, yeah, sure, we'll roll the dice. And this guy is a borderline Hall of Famer, and we thought for sure there was no way he was going to last in the NFL more. And I've covered the league long enough. I remember this. I remember the Frank Gore is not going to last more than a few years in the NFL because of this litany of injuries he had in college. And obviously, he was like the Terminator once he got into the NFL. It was crazy. So I do think it's every single team goes through it. Every single team, the medical is such a huge part of the assessment on a player, particularly if there have been injuries. What changes is whether or not some teams will put players on subboards. So if people don't know what those are, subboards are basically you're taking someone off your board and you're flagging. You're however your draft system works, you give them a certain dot, which is a color, and that tells you there's a character problem here we don't like, there's an injury problem here we don't like, there's something that's removing him from what our normal process would be. But what you do then, risk and reward plays into it. You get to a certain point in the draft and you go, you know what, we're fine. We're at this point on our subboard, we're willing to take the player because the reward far outweighs the risk. And a guy like Spears, I'll give you an example. So two teams that I talked to about him brought this up in the all juice process, and one indicated that they were told by the coaching staff there's absolutely no way we're allowed to draft this player. Like, it was clear that the coaching staff had a background with injuries. They were not interested in, of all positions in particular, bringing in a running back who could potentially have problems like this. And then there was a second team that told me, we think like this is a guy that, especially if he gets down the fourth round area, or if he starts to plummet because of this, and we'll absolutely take him in like the fourth, fifth area, because if it doesn't work out, hey, it's a running back. You can get running backs, but the talent is special enough that if his medical was perfect, he would probably be well inside the top 2 rounds, and we're willing to roll the dice. And hey, even if he comes in place for 2 years, if he's a fourth-round pick and we get 2 years of top-end production out of him, we'll live with that. There's no problem with that. So it changes from one team to the next. I think fans just got to cross their fingers on this one and hope that he's as healthy as long as he possibly can be. And, I wish him nothing but the best. I hope he has a great career because he was a lot of fun to watch on the tape when we were putting that team together.
Charles Robinson with us here on Robby and Rexrode. Charles, the Lamar Jackson saga finally comes to an end. 5 years, $260 million, $185 million guaranteed. They draft Zay Flowers in the first round. We know Odell Beckham Jr. is with the Ravens now. What do you make of the way this is now played out for the Baltimore Ravens and for Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, it's Lamar Jackson's world all of a sudden, right? Is this guy going to be on the roster too? Everything, all the boats came in at once for him. He didn't need an agent because he just used Jalen Hurts' agent. He was like, all right, they docked this huge deal. And it was interesting when the Hurts deal got done, and I think we might have even talked about it, as I was like, this can potentially be an icebreaker for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens because, it wasn't the Deshaun Watson deal, but it was effectively the next biggest deal on the table. And maybe the Ravens are sitting there going, Lamar, we'll give you this deal plus a little extra, and you can feel good about this, and you're going to hold on to that deal until the next round of quarterback contracts come in. And, hey, by the way, that might be a while because at least the next two we're looking at, it's Herbert and the Chargers with ownership that doesn't want to dole out that money any more quickly than they have to. It's Burrow and the Bengals, and Mike Brown doesn't want to dole out that money. So, you're going to hold this perch for a while. You can feel good about it. We went and got you Odell, and I would guess that they had told Lamar going into this draft, hey, they had him look at players, and there are certain guys we like going in. Let's see if maybe there's a position for us to help to add to the receivers. So, no doubt Jackson's got to be loving this right now. He just went from, a set of wide receivers that was bereft of having high impact options, and some people I think had Zay Flowers. I think most everybody had Zay Flowers high on their board. I think some had him at 2. I never heard anyone that had him over Jackson Smith and Jigba, but I know some teams really, really liked him. They kind of compared his game to Steve Smith, and putting he and Odell together in that set of receivers and the surrounding skill positions, it's going to give Lamar plenty to feel good about, at least in 2023. I mean, obviously Odell's only on a 1-year deal, so in the interim, the short term, that's definitely they should be able to compete. That offense, if you look at that offense, you look at the 2 deep. If everybody stays healthy, they should be able to compete in the AFC scoring points. I don't know defensively how that'll break down, but offensively, they should be able to go out there and score points.
Charles Robinson, our guest on Robby and Rex. So, Charles, before I let you go, I do want to get your thoughts on the Detroit Lions draft, taking a running back at 12 and a linebacker at 18.
Jeez, yeah. Look, and then tight end.
Yes.
And I'm a big Sam Laporta guy, by the way. I think what was wild to me is when they went into the draft, especially when they're sitting there at 6, I thought, okay, well, they're in a good position. 6 and 18, they're going to walk away with at least one of these is going to be spent in some aspect on a premium, position on the team. It's going to be a corner. It could be an edge. It could be Jalen Carter, which isn't technically a premium position at defensive tackle, but he factors into pass rush, and that's premium. They're going to walk out of here with something. And then I made the joke that they were like, they thought they were drafting in 1989 because they're like, yeah, we'll take a running back high, we'll take an off-the-ball linebacker, really high, and all of a sudden I'm like, is Chris Spielman running the draft by himself? Did he lock everybody out? And he's, Spielman's at the control, turning into all the cards. It was interesting, but I will say this: when you look at their top 4 picks, I got it because they were all guys that, Brian Branch, safety. When you take a linebacker where you do, a running back where you do, a safety where you do, and then a tight end, they all look like guys that could step in and play right away. So they're going to have maybe day 1 starters at the top 4 picks. But really, I think what caused this was they didn't think. I don't think they realized how much love the Seahawks felt for Devin Witherspoon, and I don't think they were prepared for Devin Witherspoon to go off at 5. And then when he did, I don't want to say there was panic, but then all of a sudden you had this situation where they're like, okay, that's not. We got to do something here because that was our guy, and now we no longer feel like we have someone that we want to take at 6, and that's what led to them trading back. They didn't want to take the gamble on Jalen Carter's maturity, and that was just basically the premium player they had at that position. And after that, they felt like we're going to move back and collect picks. I don't know. We'll see. Here's the thing that I will say about this. I hate draft grades. I hate it. I hate my own propensity to look at I hate to bust on teams. And, I kind of made the joke, like, the night of the draft, like, draft grades are like us working out, all day in the gym and then immediately afterward walking in and, into Five Guys and ordering a triple cheeseburger. Like, we know it's a bad idea. We know it's bad for us, but we do it anyway because we like it. That's what draft grades are.
Sounds like my daily routine.
Yeah. I mean, we spent all this time working up to this, all this time and effort, and then immediately we bust out a triple cheeseburger afterward, which is just dumb because really we're not going to know. Remember the 2020 draft?
Oh, yeah.
I just wrote a piece about the 2020. Oh my gosh, it's going to be all about tape. And we're throwing out all these extra visits and all this stuff that clouds everybody's judgment. We're going to the tape. The tape's going to be we got the combine, and we're just going to crush tape on all these players, and we're going to see what the results are. You know what the results were? 20 guys didn't have their 5th-year option picked up, okay, in the first round. 62.5% of the first round, a record, didn't have their 5th-year option picked up for a multitude of different reasons. But to me, it tells you, the whole tape thing and all this extra work, that didn't work. There's a reason why you put in all the extra time. There's a reason why you take premium players at premium spots. And, the instantaneous grades after 2020, you can throw all those out because teams just showed you their own assessment. There's nothing better than the 5th-year option because that is a team telling you whether or not they failed. If they don't pick up that 5th-year option, that's an indicator that they failed. If you're the Packers and you go, we could pay Jordan Love $20 million, but instead we're going to sign him to a 1-year contract that only guarantees him like a little over 13. That's a hedge, and that's telling you what they think of Jordan Love. They're hedging their risk on Jordan Love. That's a negative. Okay, so draft grades suck. That's my banging on my podium right now. Go to Janet Jackson, Joe, enjoy it, Rhythm Nation, all that.
Oh yeah.
But, draft grades suck.
Don't worry.
That's right.
Don't worry. Oh, I will, buddy.
Charles Robinson.
We'll send you some video of Katie and I dancing just like the old days.
Looking forward to that.
Yes. Charles, great stuff as always, man. Really appreciate your time this week, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Take care, gents. Appreciate it.
All right. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports joins us every week at 8 from 8 to 8:30 here on the program. A lot to react to there from Charles. We'll do that next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
The draft has come and gone for the Titans. Now the work continues for GM Rand Carthon and head coach Mike Vrabel.
We're going to continue to evaluate guys as they come through.
What's next?
We'll coach the details. We'll coach the technique.
Keep it locked on your home for Nashville's best Titans talk. 102.5 and 106.3, The Game.
Family Leisure invites you to vacation at home with your family with a new spa, pool, patio furniture, or wood play gym this summer.
I really want a spa.
Family Leisure has 40 spas on display from 3 of the biggest brand names: Artesian, Best Spas, and American Select. Prices starting as low as $29.99.
What about above ground pools?
Family Leisure has hundreds of pools in stock and on sale. Guaranteed installation before Memorial Day, starting as low as $29.99. Installed.
Wow, that's great.
If you're looking at a spa, I want some new patio furniture. Family Leisure has patio furniture from all the big brand names like Hannemint, Woodard, Jensen, and Apricity. There's more than 100 sets on display to choose from with free delivery.
That sounds good to me too. And maybe a new Sabre infrared grill to go with it?
We really should look at the wood play gym for the kids. Family Leisure has the Diamond Point swing set on sale at only $24.99 installed. It's Family Leisure's vacation at home sale going on now at both huge locations, Franklin and Antioch.
Family fun come together.
Along with being Middle Tennessee's Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer, Parman Tractor is your one-stop shop for professionals in the tree care and tree removal business. More bark brush chippers and Rayco stump grinders are industry-leading machines made for more to keep pace with you. And Parman's parts and service team will keep your machines running. Durability, efficiency, and trust. That's what you'll get with Moorbark and Rayco. And with Parman. Swing by Parman or visit ParmanTractor.com to learn more about Moorbark and Rayco. Parman Tractor's employee-owned team promises totally outrageous customer service.
How's Wingstop sound? Crispy, juicy classic wings, sauced and tossed in those 11 soul-satisfying flavors. Paired with hand-cut seasoned fries, house-made honey mustard, blue cheese, or signature Wingstop ranch. I think you've heard enough. Get your flavor delivered at wingstop.com.
Looking for a career with purpose or have that passion for youth development? Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee provides a safe place where youth gain the tools to learn, lead, and reach their full potential. And that starts with you, offering competitive pay and free after-school care for employees. Learn more at bgcmt.org.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel vPro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
At Progressive, we know how much you love your recreational vehicles, so we decided to record this commercial in an RV.
With a family on vacation.
Mom, who are these people?
Oh, that's Flo and Jamie. They're recording a commercial, sweetie.
Don't they do that in the studio?
Normally.
No.
But we wanted to feature a family who bundled their home and RV and saved with Progressive.
Yeah, it looks like you're all out of chips.
Okay, I think we'll just drop you off at the next gas station.
Bundle your home and other vehicles with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Tonight on 102.5 and 106.3, The Game.
The Heat and Hemi Butler are looking to go up 2-0 in the series as they took on the Knicks in Game 2. We'll have all that coverage for you after Stillman and Company at 6.
Your home for the NBA playoffs is 102.5 and 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Nashville, this is Paul Feinbaum, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5, The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty, where their advanced Pay by TJ option can save you thousands when selling your home. We're streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by Superbook. We're live from our 102.5 The Game studio, brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Thanks to Charles Robinson for joining us in the last segment. Joe, some reaction. Levis pick. Got Jim from Nashville says, Charles and his source are reaching on the Vrabel video. Vrabel has made that speech before with draft picks, and Glenn from Greenbrier says, is this where we are? Dissecting phone calls after the draft. This is from Glenn from Greenbrier.
Yeah, well, to Glenn, I said, well, look, you can complain if you want, but he's not dissecting it. He's telling us what other teams told him when they dissected it. Now, again, we're getting it with Charles. He gives us a glimpse at, kind of the sewing circle, right? These teams like whisper about each other and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I think people are right. Someone tweeted, too, that I can't remember a Vrabel, one of those calls. Vrabel's like, yay, I love you, can't wait. You know what I mean? I mean, yes. Vrabel is kind of instantly into coach. So I think there's some truth to those of you saying, with Charles or other GMs, other teams, really, that's what he's getting this from. Maybe there's a little bit of like, this is kind of how he does it. I will say this. Today we've talked a lot about Kaharski and yelling at each other. One thing that also happened in the media room over the draft is I kept saying, Levis, come on, Levis. And, PK's like, what are you talking about? That's ridiculous. No way. Just because I knew he'd be mad about it. But as soon as they made the move, I was like, God, do you guys think that Amy just was like, you guys are getting a quarterback today. I'm not letting Houston take our quarterback, and then we're not getting a quarterback. That's the first thing that I said. It is it is interesting. Someone bringing up that you go Ran, Amy, then Mike. It's not. I don't think that's normally how you see it done, but I guess whatever. You get a phone. You could look into this stuff and you can also dismiss any looking into this stuff.
Well, yes. The point being, like, Charles is not making this up. Like, this idea that, like, Glenn responded back and said, other teams are worried about Vrabel's phone call with Levis. Okay. Like, Charles is not making this up. Like, he's getting this from other teams in the NFL. He literally said it.
Again, this is what they do. They talk about each other, okay? So, yeah, like it or not, they did. They may be totally out base. And, I agree with you guys who are saying that's kind of a little bit more standing operating procedure for Vrabel than not.
Agreed.
Just sort of like, all right, be a good teammate and, go eat your Wheaties now. We'll see you next week, rather than like, oh, I'm so excited, But it's interesting. I mean, again, I did have the thought of, did Amy just say, you guys, get me a quarterback today. I don't care what you do. You get me that quarterback.
Oh, that's interesting to think about. I mean, look,
it happens.
I don't know, and obviously they're not going to come out and say that. So we may never know whether it was everybody's on board. We want Will Levis. That's our guy. Was it A.B. Adams-Strunk saying, you better go get this quarterback because we need a quarterback? We'll never know the answer to that. But, one of the things that we've talked about is if you loved Will Levis, he was there for you at 11. There's no way you could have known for sure that you were going to be able to trade back up and go get him. So if you loved him, why didn't you take him at 11? I realize that you can find countless examples of quarterbacks taken not in the first round that have been successful. But the point being, like, obviously, and we just heard Charles talk about it, C.J. Stroud was their original target. And I know some Titans fans just don't want to believe that. But the picture is what it is. Like, that's what it was. That was the original target for the Titans.
That's 100% fact. So I don't know why. Like, it's if anybody's arguing against that, like, you just don't want to believe what's been very clearly laid out in reporting. As far as the Levis thing, it's kind of like middle school dating. It's like, okay, I like her. Yeah, but do you like her?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Are you talking? Are you exclusive?
Yeah.
Well, we called it going.
I was about to say,
who are you going with?
Yeah, there's going. I was going to say Joe was old enough for going steady.
Joe is going steady.
I am not that old, for crying out loud. But I did know some swell girls in school.
Good.
They were swell.
That's very good. 615-737-1025. We'll have more of your thoughts on the Titans, react to Charles Robinson, and some of the things he had to say. We'll get into the Tyjae Spears medical because I thought his information on that was really interesting as well. We'll get into that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, live and local from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. When you want the national
Hey. I got this. I'll take it from here.
Okay, go ahead. Dying to hear this.
We have the best national voices that you'll find anywhere.
Who was more deserving of being thrown from their game?
I'm odd, so I get the odd picks.
They have a new coaching staff.
It's not a bad scenario for them.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
And 94.9 The Fan.
Hi, I'm Chase McCabe with your PBR Minute. The Professional Bull Riders Team Series champion Nashville Stampede will be back at Bridgestone Arena for the 2023 PBR Team Series homestand August 18th through the 20th, and tickets are on sale now. Head coach Justin McBride and his staff recently attended the Combine to see if they could find new members of their roster.
The Combine is a lot of the younger guys that are trying to make their way onto a team. There's probably a small handful that are going to come out of the Combine and find a place on a roster. We're pretty full right now. Our roster is. We got our eye on a couple of young guys, but we're returning a lot of guys and made some trades in the offseason to pick up a couple of new guys that we really like. So it is a process and getting your roster put together, and we're pretty excited about ours.
You can get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com, PBR.com, the arena box office, or by calling 1-800-732-1727.
You don't have just an ordinary mom in your life. She's the best. Her work never stops. Her sacrifices are many. Her love is unfailing. This Mother's Day, Genesis Diamonds invites you to join us in celebrating and appreciating the mothers in our lives. Stop in and let one of our trusted advisors help you find a special, meaningful gift. Layering necklaces, stackable rings, eternity bands, pearls, elegant diamond pendants, and of course, stunning diamond earrings. Great Mother's Day ideas for any budget. There's no doubt we love Mom, but sometimes a little extra appreciation goes a long way as a thank you for helping us through challenges, making sacrifices, and always putting the family first. So whether it's her first Mother's Day or her 60th, Mom deserves a gift that's anything but ordinary. And at Genesis, that's our specialty. Exquisite rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, heirloom pieces. Timeless gifts of jewelry that she can enjoy and cherish for decades to come, and always be reminded of how special she is to the family. Genesis Diamonds, online at genesisdiamonds.net.
Celebrating mothers everywhere, Electronic Express has what you need to make this the best Mother's Day yet. Spoil mom with brands like Samsung, Sony, LG, Breville, Jura, and more. We've also got huge savings in every department. 4K TVs, computers, housewares, smart home, and more. Plus, save up to 40% on all appliances with up to 3 years free financing. Shop in-store or online. Get more for mom at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Want to enter the construction field as a career? Make good money and finish with no debt and earn while you learn. Average starting salary over $18 an hour. First year of college averages $10,000. 4 years of our Construction Trades Academy, a total of $800 to $9,600. Applications are open with first-year scholarships available. CTANash.com. ABC Greater Tennessee Construction Trades Academy. Apply today. CTANash.com.
Golfers, swing into Edwin Watts Golf Shops. We've been serving golfers since 1968. Let us help you find the hottest gear from bags, balls, shoes, and apparel. All in stock at the best prices. Come in and test drive the latest arrivals from Titleist, TaylorMade, Callaway, Ping, and more. While you're there, get custom fit by one of our golf experts. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee. Shop us in store or online at EdwinWattsGolfShops.com.
They talk sports.
The Predators get the 2 points, which is obviously what they needed.
They're not making big moves that are jaw-dropping signings in free agency.
They talk life.
Well, I almost just fell down the stairs, so there's that.
My backpack was so heavy, the seatbelt alarm was going off the entire trip.
But most of all, they have a good time.
Here or there.
Yeah.
Chase and Michelle, weekday mornings at 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're locked into Robby and Rexrode.
Every morning, first thing.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Thursday morning. Taking your thoughts on our text line, 615-737-1025. Lots of participation again today. We appreciate that on the text line today and every single day, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Tyjae Spears, third-round pick for the Tennessee Titans, Joe. And we've talked about his medical with the cartilage in the knee, the not having the ACL and the arthritis that goes along with it. Charles Robinson on with us earlier this hour. If you missed it, go check out the Robby and Rexrode podcast. You can find that on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. Some really interesting things that Charles had to say about the medical reports. Some teams having him completely off the medical, not even on the sub-board, as Charles put it. What did you make of what Charles had to say about Tyjae Spears, the medical, and the risk that this is for the Titans in the third round?
Yeah, like I would love to know. That's why I asked him. And he had a good, nuanced answer, of course, about turnover and all that stuff. But I'd love to know how many of the teams that took Spears completely off were the same teams that took Farley completely off 2 years ago. I bet you there'd be a little bit of carryover because some teams are just more, like you said, maybe you got a particular owner who has been burned in particular by something like this, and we could probably do some looking back on drafts and figure out maybe a couple who were, and sort of like, okay, guys, we're not doing this anymore, but it's more confirmation. The Rappaport, I believe, was the first one who had, I guess, the severity of the situation kind of laid out there. And as Charles said, like he's not like on some island with that. So it's a risk. It's a big risk. Fantastic talent, but also at a position that, like this year, I mean, he's third down back. I think he's the third down back. I think he'll be the third down back over Hassan Haskins. But how much time are you going to get out of him? Is he good enough to be Derrick Henry's successor next year? Will he still be healthy by then? I mean, so many questions with that. It's again, I really watching him play. He is fun to watch.
Yeah.
So like I get it, but man, I guess like you said, it's when they said the medical people signed off, Rand Carthon said that at the press conference, or they said it was fine, basically. We don't get the full detail on that, but what I'd love to know is, like, was there an estimated timeline?
Right.
If they're like, you know what, 3 years, he's good, then okay. I mean, then I think, like, basically you were taking running backs for the most part, unless you have Derrick Henry, you're taking running backs for their rookie deals, and then you're looking for the next running back. That's just how this league is anymore. But how could you feel confident? I mean, Charles said it, like, how do we really know what the timeline is? How could anybody really say that confidently? And of course, as we know, with Titans medical information, and it was a little different back then. They didn't have the same access in 21 they do now. It's back to normal, but the Titans medical people signed off on Caleb Farley. We know how that's worked.
Well, isn't this a big deal for them, though? Like the medical staff with the Titans, right? Like we've talked about, the issues that they've had with injuries the last couple of years. You signed off on Caleb Farley to make that draft pick, and now you signed off on this guy in Spears. And again, I like the player. I think he's really good. But if other teams had him off the board, and this ends up not working out for the Titans, and he gets hurt this year, or he gets hurt a year down the road and he can't play anymore, or this just doesn't go well from an injury standpoint, like, at what point if you're A.B. Adams-Strunk, are you looking around and saying, all right, well, why is our medical information so much different? Like, why are all these other teams have Caleb Farley off their board and we don't? Why do all these other teams have Tyjae Spears off the board and we don't? And we got all these injuries that we've dealt with. Like, why is this continually happening? Like, it's a big deal for Tyjae Spears to work out for this group, I think.
I agree. Like, you would think possibly that Farley might inspire you to become a little bit more cautious organization, I mean, everybody rips on J-Rob. I mean, it's every time there's a hurt player, let's tweet out the picture of J-Rob. Oh, J-Rob's excited, Maybe it wasn't just J-Rob. There are scouts. There are other people. He had, of course, Ossenfort and Cowden under him. By the way, I'm very interested, like I said earlier, Ryan Cowden, where he ends up if he does indeed move on somewhere. I think Ryan Cowden could be a GM, but you have those guys. You have Vrabel. You have a lot of different people. And like you said, Robbie, ultimately you have to lean on the medical expertise. I mean, Farley, it started with, an ACL tear for him, right?
Right.
So, and then, but still, and now it's gone. I mean, it's the entire picture of him was the question of, like, is he just a guy who's just a little bit too fragile to play in this league? You could ask that big picture question even apart from the back. And so far that's proven to be the case. So you would think a sign-off on Spears would be heavily, heavily questioned by the people making the choice here.
Well, you would think, and like you said, I mean, the Titans came out in the press conference and said that the medical people gave it the okay, and that they're okay with the medical, which is great. The other part of this is, Joe, I mean, it's not the same situation as Caleb Farley. Number one, I agree with you. Like, when you start talking about back, that's a little bit more of a red flag heading into the draft. And Caleb Farley was a first-round pick, so it is different. But, like, a third-round pick is not insignificant. Like, you should still get a good player that can help you hopefully for, a good while here in the third round. And I know last year they took Malik Willis, and that situation's different and all that stuff. But, like, the third round here, especially when you don't have a fourth-rounder, which the Titans didn't have, like, that's not an insignificant pick here.
No. Well, the fourth round is not an insignificant pick either. And last year in the fourth round, they took Hassan Haskins, presumably to have a shot someday at maybe replacing Derrick Henry, sharing carries with Derrick Henry, some third down work, whatever it may be. The fact that they took a back in the third round, I understand they like the player a lot, but also doesn't that kind of speak to last year, to this being yet another do-over? But I do think that Spears could be a weapon this year. Mentioned it a couple days ago, Dontrell Hilliard was, and kind of by necessity, but it was a big part of their offense last year, especially in the red zone, that they need to get that at least out of Spears quickly.
Craig on the text line says, at what point do you start replacing a strength and conditioning coach when it comes to the soft tissue injuries? Also, does that have more to do with the drills and exercise plans they have or how hard individuals train? This from Craig on the text line.
Yeah, I just.
I mean, they just won Trainer of the Year, didn't they?
Yeah, that's trainer, but the strength coach. I don't know, man. I mean, look, the way Vrabel laid it out was that some players either they do too much, they don't do exactly what they're asked, whatever the case may be. He put it on the players, so he clearly believes in the strength staff. He's kept them the same. On some things like this, I think I would tend to probably just trust Vrabel. But I mean, look, I think the question's fair.
I think it's important to point out, like, strength and conditioning coach and medical staff getting medicals on draft prospects are two different things. Like, it's not the same thing.
Yes, for sure. But it's all kind of in the same. I mean, I get people are looking for answers. Why so many injuries, and why are they okay with taking injured players?
That's going to do it for us today here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll have a lot to discuss tomorrow as well. Jared Stillman joining the show at 7, TD at 8, so looking forward to that. Chase and Shell up next. This is 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
312 Pizza Company is a proud sponsor of Nashville Sounds Baseball on 102.5 The Game.